Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islam, 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 Moorish America. Want to rise upon the 7 and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. I want to welcome our Moorish kin to another grand expression of the Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Amo Hadi Shabazel, my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawal Mintiel Muhajjid Shepsuel. And we have a grand drawing to bring forth to our Moorish kin this morning. So we honor those who are always ever present and those who will be present in the future. You know, but at this time, we're going to call forth our beloved brother Marvin, Dr. Marvin Nathaniel Edwards Bey, to open up the way, and a host of our other scribes. So Islam, peace and love. Shimo Tepu.
Islam family, this is Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey, Consul General of the Texas Consulate, rising giving all praise to the great God Allah, giving highest honor to his prophet, our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give high honor to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give high honor to our Act 1. And give high honor to all of our officials. Give high honor to this class, our E.A.R.S class, our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class. As well as I give honors to our host and instructor, Dr. Shedawal Mintiel Muhajjid Shepsuel, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America. Give honor to everything that is Moorish, our flag, our seal, our emblem, Divine Constitution, Holy Quran, Book of Ali, 101 and 102, the exhuman of a nation. All of our divine revelations I give honor. And I will begin with our Kmetian Adept Moorish American prayer. Islam. Ya Allah abnuheru meku neteru. Ya Allah abheteru. Ya Allah ma'atheru. Ya Allah hoteperu. Ya Allah heru. Ya Allah ma'ather kuti. Ya Allah awajet tejuti. Ya Allah pertem sutek pertem heru. Ya Allah bamaduti. El hedges way up to Ali. Amen. Holius, holius, holius. In transliteration, O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of truth, peace. O Allah, spirit of freedom. O Allah, spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet, Juali. Holy Isa. Holy Isa. Holy Isa. Amen. And I'll begin with our divine Constitution of Morris America. Salvation, our God, unity. The divine Constitution of Morris America, Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of Morris America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Morris America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known for the citizens of Morris America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Morris America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Morris American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Morris America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitutions of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Morris Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All meetings must promptly by itself, Morris. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Morris America. Morris America must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Morris America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful husband. You must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Morris Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessing be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Morris American government, Morris America. And these meetings have now been opened according to Act 2 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, Islam. And I will hand this over to our National Grand Secretary of the State of South Carolina, Dr. Dendra Ani Okurta Bey. Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Dendra Ania Kurtabe, but first let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. I give honors to Act 1. I give honors to you, Dr. Marvin Evers Bay, Council General of Texas, for opening us up according to law. And I give honors to our National Assistant Grand Chief for this wonderful class having that he has for us every Sunday morning. Islam. We love you, God, man, and gratitude for all that you do for us. Islam. Well, I'll be reading our chapter of the week, which is coming from our Holy Quran, which is now chapter 42. And it reads, Yehoshua appeared fully materialized to the eastern sages in the palace of Prince Ravana in India, to the Magirian priest in Persia. 3 wise men speak in praise of the personality of the Nazarene. Ravana, prince of India, gave a feast. His palace in Orissa was the place where men of thought from all the farther east were wont to meet. Ravana was the prince with whom the child Yehoshua went to India with when 12 years old. The feast was made in honor of the wise men of the east. Among the guests were Mangesti, Vedapita, and Lamas. The wise men sat about the table talking about the needs of India and the world. The door unto the banquet hall was in the east. A vacant chair was at the table to the east. And as the wise men talked, a stranger entered unannounced, and raising up his hand in benediction said, All hail. A halo rested on his head, and light, unlike the light of sun, filled all the room. And Yehoshua sat down in the vacant chair. And then the wise men knew it was the Jewish prophet who had come. And Yehoshua said, Behold, for I am risen from the dead. Look at my hands, my feet, my side. The Roman soldiers pierced my hand and feet with nails, and then one pierced my heart. They put me in a tomb, and then I wrestled with the conqueror of men. I conquered death. I stamped upon him and arose, brought immortality to light, and painted on the walls of time a rainbow for the sons of men. And what I did, all men shall do. The gospel of the resurrection of the dead is not confined to Jew and Greek. It is the heritage of every man, of every time and clime. And I am here a demonstrator of the power of man. Then he rose and pressed the hand of every man and of the royal host and said, Behold, I am not myth made of the fleeting winds, for I am flesh and bone and bronze, but I can cross the borderlines at will. And they talked together there a long, long time. Then Yehoshua said, I go my way, but you shall go to all the world and teach the gospel of the omnipotence of man, the power of truth, the resurrection of the dead. He who believes this gospel of the Son of Man shall never die. The dead shall live again. Then Yehoshua disappeared, but he had sown the seed. The words of life were spoken in Orissa, and all of India heard. The Magirian priests were in the silence of Presbyterius and Casper, and the Magirian master, who were first to greet the child of promise in the shepherd's home in Bethlehem with the priests. And Yehoshua came and sat with them. A crown of light was on his head. And when the light ended, Casper said, A master from the royal council of the Silent Brotherhood is here. Let us give praise. And all the priests and masters stood and said, All hail. What message from the royal council do you bring? And Yehoshua said, My brothers of the silent brotherhood, peace on earth, goodwill to men. The problem of the age has been solved. A son of man has risen from the dead, has shown that human flesh can be transformed into a flesh divine. Before the eyes of men, this flesh in which I come to you was changed with speed of light from human flesh, and so I am the message that I bring to you. To you I come, the first of all the race, to be transmuted to the image of Allah. What I have done, all men will do, and what I am, all men shall be. But Yehoshua said no more. In one short breath, he told the story of his mission to the sons of men, and then he disappeared. And Magi said, some time ago we read this promise, now fulfilled upon the dial plate of heaven. And then we saw this man who has just demonstrated unto us the power of man to rise from carnal flesh and blood to flesh of Allah, a babe in Bethlehem. How, and after many years, he came and sat with us in these same groves. He told the story of his human life, of his trials, soul temptations, buffering, and woes. He pressed along the thorny way of life till he had risen and overthrown the strongest foes of Allah and man. And he is now the only master of the human race whose flesh has been transmuted into flesh divine. He is the God-man of today, but everyone of earth shall overcome and be like him, a son of Allah. The chronological order of these events occurred before Yehoshua was 30 years of age. The essence of his infamous crucifixion did rest upon a political conspiracy between the Jewish Sanhedrin and the Roman government. These powers then crucified Yehoshua according to their law, but he did not die on the cross. See Holy Quran, Surah 4, 157, / Holy Quran, chapter 53, 1 through 3. The events after he had risen from the depth of human knowledge into infinite wisdom and into the deific will, reveal he appeared fully materialized back to India, Europe, and Africa in the land of Egypt, and made himself known unto the world. The truth of these events were held back by the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine, whom had these secrets and kept them back from the destruction of the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed these secrets, including the aforewritten 18 years of Yehoshua's life, which are absent in your holy Bible. And for the first time in ages have these secrets been delivered in the hands of Muslims of America. These exposes includes the events of John the Baptist. John taught by the Egyptian sage the meaning of baptism and how to baptize the self. And after he was baptized, he was taken at the age of 12 years into Africa, the land of Egypt, where he remained in the school of Adeptus masters for 18 years. There he learned his duties as harbinger and forerunner of Yehoshua. Islam, Islam, Islam. I will now turn everything back over to our National Assistant Grand Sheik, Dr. Sadu Ameti El Moheji Sepsuea. Are you there, Godman?
Islam. Can you hear me, sister?
Islam, I can hear you well.
Gratitude. Islam. Islam, Islam. Islam. Moorish America. Again, we rise upon the seven and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, Honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. So again, as we have already opened up the way, continuing to rise in ascension, as we would always like to come forth with our particular session, we have to come forth with the Book of Fire. And so we have pages in the Book of Fire 369, the finale of religious controversies. We want to come from that particular drawing and go up to 378. We're in above Moors in prostration. So if we will, we have our family to volunteer to read Islam.
Psalm.
All right, Islamism, Grand National Secretary of the State. We got you first, and I think I heard Brother Bati Bey too. So what we can do is have you start, sister, at 369 and read over to 371.
360.
And that's the bottom. You just stop at the period.
At the bottom of the page of 371.
Islamism.
All right.
Okay, and then Brother Bati Bey, you can pick up on 372.
Islam.
And yes, sir, and you can actually stop at the bottom of, let's see, I want to make sure we got this here. Okay, you can stop actually at the bottom of 375.
Islam.
Islam, and then one more reader.
Islam.
Islam, Sister Curta Bay, you can start at the top of 376.
376 at the top. Okay, the seven infinite thoughts.
Islam.
Islam.
And then you could actually you can end at 378, right above where it says Moors in prostration.
Okay, gratitude. Islam. Got it.
It's Islamism. Well, all right, Moorish kin. You may begin, Grand National Secretary of the State.
Gratitude. Islam Moorish kin, rising, giving all praises to Allah, honor to our prophet, honor to our E.A.R.S class this afternoon, honor to our family online, and to our panel. Honor to Act 1. The finale of religious controversies. Dear readers, it is not the intent of this chapter to speak radical against the major or the millions of minor organized religious groups. I, the author, do not desire to cause harm to a living soul on this or any occasion at all. The contents of my book, Noble Drew Ali, The Last Prophet, are truly dedicated to the exhuming of a nation through the high principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are just simple lessons being returned in due time to a rightful and most deserving people. Until now, the majority of what so-called Negroes, Black folk, and colored people, NBC, know about religion has been learned from their foreign European oppressors. This is especially true of the Negro, Black, and colored whose beliefs are totally circumscribed by your Christianity/Arabian Islamic teachings, interpretations, and rituals. Since these theories are cultivated upon the subjugation and enslavement of Africans, it can only yield Sunday harvests of converted quote-unquote Black Christians that will never be greater than their oppressors. Candidly, the histories to both of these orders consider their roles in the continental occupation of Akubalan as eleemosynary and conquest of its Africans as, quote-unquote, doing the will of their God. The subject matter is religion. Religions usually involve matters of the heart, rituals, and perceptions of a deity or gods. Noble Drew Ali said, man's highest ideal is his God. Hence, man's God today, tomorrow may not be God, because as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 10, ayat 16. Therefore, this chapter will attempt to tippy-toe through the minefields of religions, through the wars, pogroms, and millenniums of mass enslavements to psychic of mankind, where an entire people have been buried in shallow graves in the names and commands of various gods. This magnanimous task will be attempted without offending any of the gods or men that serve them. Yeah, right. Bear in mind, this book's ultimate focus is the exhumation of a clean and pure nation of people. Regrettably, this new nation is buried beneath Western rubble, which mostly appears as religions. It is therefore necessary to sift through millenniums of religious dogma, superstition, spookism, and a few Jesus to expose the only rejected gem of the human family. This nation, the Moorish Americans, founded by their holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, is actually the proverbial rejected cornerstone, the lost tribe of Shabazz, the lost found nation of the West, and the return of the ancient ones, the Ishmaelite, the tribe of Ali, the 144,000, etc., etc. Martin Luther King Jr. referred to them as we, as a people, will get to the promised land. This nation is properly revealed as the lost found tribes of Ali. This name is exact because the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the only one that found them, gave them their true free national name, and claimed them. Naturally, he had to break the Roman seals in order to redeem his people hidden therein. It is only fair to forewarn readers about this chapter, with all its benevolent intentions, certain of its truths will piss off the devil. Certain of its truths will piss off the devil. In fact, it will infuriate Satan, Lucifer, beasts, some demagogues, and a few other gods of African oppression. It may even cast out Western poltergeists that are secretly possessing African bodies. Fortunately, in this new era of time now, all truths are being revealed. So Satan, claiming to be in the image and likeness of Allah, in this chapter will be uncovered as the shadow of our lower selves and will pass away. See Adam and Eve. All modern religions carry at least a reflection of the truth somewhere near their cornerstone. All truth is one, and one truth never contradicts another truth. So essentially, there is a bond of harmony in religions of the earth where all nations can learn to love instead of hate. Religion. The word religion derives from the Latin words religio or credere, credo or creed, and basically means a system of beliefs or faith. Africans developed the first religious creed and used it as a cornerstone for building character during their civilizing of the world. Being the first humans created, these sun-kissed people, still knowing their oneness with their creator, marked the one pathway uniting divinity to matter. The African peoples consciously fashioned religion as scientific law, because law is the only thing that governs all events. Western religions are the Greek-Roman version to African sacred schools of thought. To a large degree, what we see today as religions pale in contrast to the God realizations of the ancient ones. The essence of the word religion, as used today, is but a shadow interpretation of the original Egyptian holistic system. It is in the nature of a true religious creed to teach the practitioner to learn, know, and worship the God within. If a religion introduces a media between man and himself as God, example given, prophet, man, or earthly manifest, it is not a true religion. When the God to worship resides in a place other than in the heart, the worshiper denotes to sacrilege. Today, religions separate, isolate, and cause more harm than help. So-called modern religions have created more wars and sanctioned more battlefield executions than slave lynching in America. In ancient Kemet, from where all today's religions derived, taught man's uniting with his God through concentrated thought and remembrance was the utmost foundation to events of life. The unseen Great Spirit was seen in all things, especially man himself. This action was recognizing the force of light and sound as the omnipotent giver of life and the acceptance of that life in human mud, parentheses, body of flesh. Hence, the definition of the old-time African religion is law, universal law in harmony with the self. Simple. Drali called this law Islamism. He taught the Moors Islamism is the name of their religion. Their ancient forefathers called it the Egyptian mystery system. The basis of Catholicism and her multi-denomination children is founded upon the premise of serving a visible trinity of gods which exists outside, not within, man. In the world of dualities, see Adam and Eve's dualities, religions are social necessities. They serve as reminders of man's rights and wrongs, do's and don'ts, sow and reap, good and evil, etc. Some governments and commune leaders as citizens' social pacifiers to the hereafter also use religion. Star 6 your phones, Moors. These theologies have been dubbed as opium for the masses because of its sedative powers. Religions are used to quell civil unrest from their oppression. Religions can serve the purpose of establishing laws for man to govern himself in harmony with all other living things. In reality, this is not what religions of today indoctrinate. Religion to ancient Africans was holistic and fundamentally the science of life, which balanced with the harmonies of life and resulted in peace. This is why Noble Drew Ali reminded the Moors, our ancient forefathers were Muslims and accepted Islam, parentheses, peace, as early as drinking water. All the major African prophets taught a portion of Islam. Prophet Muhammad descended through the African seed of Hagar, perfected the ancient Egyptian mysteries for the first time into the Arabic language. The transliteration of the ancient mystery system, the world's first religious creed, into a single Arabic expression is pronounced al-Islam or Islam, meaning peace in Arabic. To this day, over 1 billion Muslims refer to this perfect transliteration as Quranic Arabic. Contrary to public belief, the Holy Prophet Muhammad did not invent Islam, nor did he create or perfect a new religion. Islam was, is, and will forever be the perfect religion. Its perfect path is portrayed in the creation and fall of man and the story of Adam and Eve. By the time Muhammad I received the revelation in Havilah, Islamism had already been taught and practiced for over 20,000 years in ancient Kemet. Noble Drew Ali, himself a prophet to the Moorish Americans, taught. Question: what is our religion? Answer: Islamism. Question: is that the new or old-time religion? Answer: old-time religion. The origin of Islamism, not Islam, means the science or the Adept philosophy of peace. He taught the Moors the religious ways of their ancient forefathers. This was a Moorish science, the study of self-mastery. The masters know there is a great science in the exercise of thoughtless thinking. Since thought is the cause of all things, he wanted to teach the Moors to think. Think. Then they will be able to save themselves. The concentrate of peace, parentheses, Islam, is to meditate within, using concentrated thought. Question: who made you? Answer: Allah. Question: to whom do we refer to at times as being the great God? Answer: Allah. Question: can we see him? Answer: no. Question: what is truth? Answer: truth is aught. Aught is Allah. Question: what are the name do we give to truth? Answer: holy breath. Question: where is the nearest place to meet him? Answer: in the heart. Also see the third eye. Noble Drew Ali said the young Moors with their third eyes wide open would be the ones to enforce his laws, and the old Moors must take a seat in the back. Because We're going to have to take these principles and straighten out our brothers, parentheses, in Islam in the East. They have grown astray, have accepted demons from afar, and are now at war against themselves. It goes without saying the only thing a Muslim, Christian, or Jew will accept will be a higher, parentheses, adapt teaching of what they already have faith in. None of Drew Ali's teachings support anything except love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the 5 highest principles known to man. His pure and clean nation about to unfold will live by the powers of the life-giving as above, so below. Islam. The word Islam is Arabic for the word peace. Yet peace, like most other principles of life, has become desensitized here in the West. Peace itself is infinite and in existence before Arabians were a thought. Peace is Allah, the great God, and the divine mind. Peace has no partners, faults, nor opposition. Peace is infinitely pure and is in no way related to war, oppression, or strife. Their forefathers, the original African man, were the first to use peace. Most people, including some Muslims, equate peace as the opposite of war. This is an unbalanced concept and a grave misunderstanding of the word peace. Peace is the ordained harmonies of the universal order and of life. Peace is a state of security found where divine laws are enforced. It is the tranquility and the freedom of all living things being themselves. Wars and strife are man-made weaknesses and conditions. There is but one true peace, and man must grow inward to return to that peace. True peace, like Allah, is one, and is found only in man's conquered self. War and peace are related only from the finite point of view. This is why carnal man from the lands of fallen humanity must have strife before peace. Yet, like shadows are reflections caused by light, so is strife caused by peace. Peace and light exist without war and shadow. Peace is not found in pain, misery, or in the muzzle of a gun. Only the swift sword of wisdom can place the sabers of human knowledge into the sheath of peace. Ironically, the pale-skinned nations of Europe have sought peace at the end of a weapon for the past 3,000 years. Today, they still sleep with one claw on their oppressed and the other claw on their weapon. Their idea of peace rests in their breast between the two. See Illuminati's chaos. Yehoshua calls this type of peace the peace of death when he was asked, "Are you indeed the Prince of Peace?" Appendix, Life, Works, and Teachings of Yehoshua, chapter 13, ayats 4 through 5. What is the Moorish Americans' religion? Number 17. What is our religion? Islamism. 18. Is that a new or is that the old-time religion? Answer, old-time religion. These are yet 2 more of the 101 Quran questions for Moorish Americans found in Noble Drew Ali's questionnaire. There is a golden cord of divinity which unites all the questions and their answers. However, for a good understanding, one must have love, a true knowledge of history, and reliance upon Allah. Indeed, no finite mind can comprehend things infinite. Without these necessities, there cannot be any comprehension of Ali's 101 questions and answers. Every nation with free national standards is entitled to their forefathers' creed and independent religious path to the great God. Their rituals, customs, prayers, songs, and methods of practice are formed in a measure suitable to their salvation. All the Asiatic nations rooted in Africa have a divine origin. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 45. The oneness of this divine origin is man's spiritual source of strength, and it is sustained through wisdom. Man's natural ethereal plane is spirit. Here, as well as there, he receives nourishment through thought activity. The faster and the more pure thoughts are from his higher self, the mother of virtue and the harmonies of life. They breed justice, mercy, love, and right. The slower, sluggish, and unclean thoughts are created in his lower self, whom men call the devil. Once these negative thoughts manifest outside of himself, they become Satan, going to and fro the earth seeking whom it may devour. Question number 75. Here is where the fall of man really began. From here begot Lucifer, dragon, and beast. Parentheses, the fallen righteous corrupt nations and man-made men, respectively. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms. Question number 73. Every Asiatic nation has its religion, philosophy, and science, or otherwise a sacred school of thought which unites divinity and matter. The Moorish Americans are no exception. They, too, have their own religion. It is their own religion, the religion of their ancient forefathers, who are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 48, ayat 7. Currently, the fallen Moorish people of North America are serving pale-skinned Jesuses, crosses, white men, and other gods of Europe, most of which they know from little to nothing. They worship a religion borrowed from foreign lands and forced upon them under 4 centuries of death, threats, and physical deprivations. The breaking of their will gave hope to their safety. Today, this safety is termed as being saved. Being saved usually invokes favors and leniency of God, the ruler of the land. See question number 93. The air of safe enjoyment for their lives and possessions drew images of a promised heaven, yonder, after death. The followers deemed themselves free, found, and apart from their doomed brothers outside of their God's house, the church. Here, in the Western Hemisphere, the concepts of the ancient Egyptian mystery system have been misconstrued and presented to the masses under the Greek word religion. And at this time, I want to turn the meeting into the hands of Consul General of Iowa, Dr. Bati Bey. Islam?
Islam is Islam. First, I'd like to rise to give all manner of praise to Allah, honest to the Prophet, honest to our theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, our mufti, citizens alike, honest to all the Moors that are in the sound of my voice and the ones on this panel, and honest to our at one and Dr. Shahi for this class. And with that, I will begin. Under the word religion, worship replaces knowledge of self, and rituals are instead of the deification instructions which man needs. Under the church, God has a day off for rest, and preaching is now where holistic lessons are supposed to be. Only in the upper Christian sciences and the secret lodges of Freemasonry are the higher sciences of man as God is discussed. Westernized religions are all based upon the carnal nature formed by the 5 senses of European rulers. Their highest ideal is the God compiled of what they can see, hear, taste, touch, smell. From these derive a carnal nature based upon the body of desires, wants, and greed. Hence, modern day religions are heavily commercialized, with pagan celebrations under the guise of holy days, holidays, e.g., Christmas, Santa Claus, Easter, egg laying rabbits, or Sunday musical fashion shows, etc. Unfortunately, for so called Black Christians, any blessings they receive is because their Lord and Savior, Jesus, the white man Christ, had bestowed upon them. On the other hand, crimes, sins, and most disease are white on the back, white on black wrath, imprisoned upon sinners, please. And the word was Koine Greek. It must be understood that slaves do not have choices. This holds especially true for those labeled Blacks and Negroes. Therefore, Christianity, which is a negative of Kmetian Egyptian three-step picture from man to God, Moorish Holy Quran 7:25 to 31, was forced upon them. The true teachings of Prophet Moses, Solomon, David, Yehoshua, and other Egyptian adepts were translated through Hellenistic Greek from 400 BC to 4th AD by what Alexander the Greek, 356 to 323 BC, Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC, Socrates, 469 to 399, Plato, 428 to 347, could decipher from their lying eyes. By the time this hoax of Greek philosophy was poisoned into the Roman Catholic order, it gave birth to Christianity. The majority of modern day Christianity, as it is currently advertised as the word of God, is focused upon any array of cultural misnomers of ancient Moorish civilizations, especially Egypt, which was the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. Chapter 47. It must be clearly understood that 500 AD to 200 AD, the Greeks didn't know jack about being civilized. In fact, the Egyptians were educating many Greeks before and after the invasion of Alexander the Greek. Yes, I said the Greek. Being of Moorish descent and author of this book, I can see a former guest turned conqueror of my people. I can't not see a former guest turned conqueror of my people as great. Thus, he's just Alexander the Greek. Then the Romans added their seasoning to this religious dish of Christianity. The Italians translated the Greek misnaming of Egyptian science into Latin. From the Roman Empire to the Roman Catholic Church, through the Renaissance and on into the English language. A people's language expresses the totality of their understanding and determines their prosperity. And if one's language does not capture the essence of another language, then its truth will not be conveyed. The accuracy and the timing will not be in the translation. Without truth, one is subject to deception and hypocrisy. The original Bible was not the word of God, but in reality, it was the word of the Greeks. Today's Bible is often called the word of God, and no one can tell its millions of faithful Negro, Black, and colored people other than that it is God's word. Little do they realize the wages of inaccurate history is a darkened future. As vividly revealed later in this chapter, it was the Greeks, not God, who wrote the first Bible, albeit the so-called Black people are mere readers of the word and not its author. Most fail to see the impossibility in reading any manuscript without absorbing the opinion of its author. Needful to say, the Greek misinterpreted slant to Moses' revelations of the ancient Egyptian mysteries are a far cry from the soul perfecting degrees of the ancient African words. Therefore, it is a dire necessity when studying history. One must take into account all the surrounding times, peoples, and conditions in order to ensure the validity of that history. This is why Muslims teach Quranic Arabic to all Islamic converts, no matter their national tongue. As a result, they will receive the full favor of Allah's message through his holy prophet Muhammad. There are many words in the Arabic language that cannot be transliterated into English, Latin, Spanish, etc., without losing some or all of their potencies, especially English, which is well known as the mutt or bastard language of the planet. The history of the Moorish religion, Islamism, the first religious creed on earth. Noble Drew Ali taught the Moorish Americans, the fallen sons and daughters of Africa, have borrowed a faith from foreign lands, and the God they serve is not their own. This makes them a beggar people, and a beggar people can never produce the best in themselves. Prior to the advent of Noble Drew Ali, the so-called Negroes, blacks, colored people, NBCs, assumed the church and Christianity, which had been forced upon them during the time of slavery, was their own religion. With this faith came their pale-skinned, blue-eyed Lord and Savior Yehoshua Christ. A Western name for Yehoshua, they were correct. From the slave perspective of NBC, the religion's tenets did in fact belong to slaves, for slaves, and about the earthly salvation of slaves. This is to say, at best, when a slave has been saved, redeemed, or reached salvation, he or she will still be officially an NBC slave. A saved slave, albeit recognized as a good Christian, is still just a slave. The truth is one must first be free before they can enter the gates of heaven. Bear in mind, freedom is not attained through the service of another man's God, and exactly what church or Christianity has freed their NBCs to be an autonomous nation of people. This is why Noble Drew Ali taught the Moorish about their own religious creed, their own God, and the only true heaven. Every nation has its inherent religion, but they have first come to realization they are in need of a nation. Question 17. What is your religion? What is our religion? Islamism. Question 18. Is that a new or is that a old time religion? Old time religion. In 1865, when U.S. slavery was abolished, the ex-slaves were without the religion of their forefathers, and subsequently, being without their own religion, they blindly continued to serve the gods of their former slave masters. The abolishment of the institution of slavery in no way replaced the two-fifths nationality and divine creed denationalized from the Africans, which left them as only three-fifths of all persons. The church and Christianity having been forced upon them during their centuries of captivity, was the only system of religion they knew. Unfortunately, it is a historical fact that religion of any slave government was never constituted with powers to free its slaves. Now, more than 145 years later, not one of the 1 million plus NBCs of the cloth, with very few members of their congregation questioning why they will never be free while under the same government that enslaved them, especially as they have faithfully served another man's God, Islamism. As the world's first religious creed was pronounced Hotep. Hotep is the holistic science or study of peace. Hotep translates into Arabic language as Islam. Islam became the Arabian name of the old time religion, as it was perfected for Arabians by the holy prophet Muhammad, Surah 5:3. He chose Islam from the ancient, pardon the body. He chose Islam from the African ancient monotheistic sciences to the people of Habala, Arabia, because they had strayed away from this straight way to Allah as taught by the African forefathers. In fact, Muhammad was a direct descendant of Hagar, the Egyptian goddess, which mothered Ishmael, first true son of Abraham. Readers must bring to mind the root of Hotep being millenniums before Kemet became the center of the world's greatest teaching and civilization. The name Kemet translates to Kingdom of God, Lord of the Gods, or Gods of Gods, which modern man calls Egypt. They refer to the creator as Olodumare or Netre. This translation is true foundation for the Islamic fundamental. There is no God but Allah, and Allah is the Father of the universe, as brought to Moorish Americans by Noble Drew Ali. Angels are true beings. The station of an angel is a status held in harmony with its original creative destiny. They are celestial thoughts of the great God and are often manifested in flesh filled with melanin. An angel is the highest station of man's expressing the will of divinity. Comedian adepts that were sent to various nations in need of realignment with oneness of the great God were called angels. They were Muslims whose will could only obey the will of the great God. The most noted angelic station of these Africans were entitled Gabriel or Michael. Angels bring, defend, and teach messages to prophets that are necessary to redeem their nation. The messages were always about Hotep or Islamism, and the messengers were always olive-skinned brothers or sisters called angels. Islamism, the first religious creed, and the beautiful ensign, Islam. The world's first religious creed prior to its exportation from Africa. Adapt, design, revealed through swift angel. Number one. Islamism by numbers. The true mystery system of Egypt, which Noble Drew Ali, an Egyptian adept master called, pardon the body. Let me go back to that. Can I go back to that sign? If you see the first quadrant, it says love, gospel, spirituality, Jesus. Second says truth, Quran, religion, law, salvation of Muhammad. Another 90 degrees. Another 90 degrees. Buddha, enlightenment, yoga, meditation, Zen, Lamas, Mahayana, Confucian, Chi, balance, Kung Fu, body, life, harmony, the analytics, and freedom is another 90 quadrant. All these together is Islamism. Islam by numbers. The true mystery system of Egypt, which Noble Drew Ali and the Egyptian adept masters called Islamism, is founded upon the science of numbers. Men comprehend the dynamics and origin of infinity by understanding numbers. The equation science of numbers gives rise to all seen and unseen worlds. Geometry, algebra, and arithmetic are the thrones of astronomy, medicine, architecture, calendars, arts, religion, creation, civilizations, orders of the universe, and harmonies of life. All are contingent upon numbers. The mystery system of Egypt acquires its strength from 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. These are the strong numbers because they cannot be divided evenly, unlike 2, 4, 6, and 8. Here are a few examples of the creative powers of those positive numbers. The 1, origin, creator, causeless cause, rootless root. The 3, there are always 3 steps on the master's carpet. The triune Allah, wisdom, will, and love. Egyptian, initiation, illumination, and perfection. Yehoshua, belief, faith, fruition. Drew Ali, member, sheik, adept. Mastery, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Freemasonry, apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. Christianity, Islam's natural enemy, is structured in illusions of the 3-step Egyptian mastery system. Its European churches assert the Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. This God has only one begotten Son named Yehoshua, who was created in Rome's Vatican with pure European features. These are just too many gods to serve. This man-made threesome is colloquially known as the white man. They are made in the likeness and image of European interests. Freemasonry, the masterful liberal arts degree of Christian Science and the chief protector of the Christian creed, also functions upon a semblance of Egyptians, initiation, illumination, and perfection. The 3 degrees in all of Freemasonry is under the auspices of apprentice, fellow craft, and master masons. See Freemasonry. Here in the Knights Lodge, Masons secretly don the ancient Moorish diadem, the fez, that Muslim men have worn openly and freely for thousands of years. The 5. highest principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. Senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. Organs: head, right arm, right leg, left arm. Elements: ethereal, fire, water, air, land. Ruling planets: Venus, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter. North Star: 5 pentagrams, 72 degrees each, equals 360 degrees. The 7, ancient Kmetian Egyptian mystery system. First degree: Pastorius, medicine and science. Second degree: Neochorus. Neochorus, geometric energy, shape, structures, and designs. Third degree: Melanophorus, sciences of polarized energy, e.g., time, finite durations between life and death. Fourth degree: Christophorus, inert laws of growth, relativities from light and sound, e.g., vegetations, music, colors, crystals, and metals. Fifth degree: Balahate, sciences of nature and alchemic laws, logic, and the philosophy of transmutation and realization of simplicity from the most complex. Sixth degree: Astronomus, the manipulation of the cosmic powers in harmony with the human body and other living things. The Polaris interaction balance with the body and the galaxies, the study of stimulative or sedative ethers. Seventh degree: Propheta, the wisdom of God in man, the right of Emmanuel, adept and prophethood, conquest of self, God realization, the Christ. These are the 7 degrees of the ancient Egyptian mystery system. The 7 represents the totality of divine creation. The ancient ones developed the curriculum for their 7 degrees from the complete circle of creation. These were 7 days in the circle, which totals everything made. Each day marked the completion of an ethereal life form from its alpha to omega. There are only 7 days in a year. They are Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Question 101. There are 7 creative spirits with their 7 ethereal planes. Islam. With this, I would like to turn the meeting over to Dendra Nia Kurtubay for her portion of the reading. Islam.
Islam. The 7 honors has already been given. The 7 infinite thoughts of Allah, which created everything that ever was, is, or evermore to be. The ancient Hebrew calls these thoughts Elohim. The Adept calls them the 7 eyes of Allah. Man calls these ether planes and planes of protoplasm, earth, plant, beast, man, angel, and cherubim. Most Holy Quran, chapter 11, ayahs 19 through 38. There are 7 chakras sealed within the human body. These chakras are fixed from the base of the spine, upright through the heart of the mind. Yehoshua said, man couldn't resurrect until the fix is solved. Most Holy Quran, chapter 17, ayah 37. The ancient Sadar gurus called these the astral body of lights. Each must be lighted with wisdom. See third eye. There are also 7 sounds on the master's music scale. All the audibles heard by the ears of man are the summation of these sounds. 7 colors in the spectrum. These constitute everything seen by the human eye. Without these colors, the human senators are useless. 7 senses for the conscious man, 5 below the eyebrows: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, and 2 above the eyebrow: intuition and telepathy. 7 degrees in the adept chamber of Moore's Science Temple of America, AC of the MST of A. Third heaven, question 56. The degree of high consciousness in Ju Ali's third heaven are identical to the ancient Egyptian mystery system developed by the first African gods to be formed in flesh. This origin is held by the old Hebrews as the story of Adam and Eve. Medu Re brought these degrees of God attainment in the missing 18 years of Yehoshua's life, omitted from the Bible. The lessons are found in his life work and teachings of Yehoshua by Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali. See index. 7 degrees of self-mastery to the divine ministry. First degree, sincerity, chapter 14. Second degree, justice, chapter 15. Third degree, faith, chapter 16. Fourth degree, philanthropy, chapter 17. Fifth degree, heroism, chapter 18. Sixth degree, love divine, chapter 19. And seventh degree, ministry of death, divine ministry, chapters 20 and 21, prophethood. We cannot omit the Aquarian age as the 7th of time, known and prophesied by the ancient Moorish scientists, which would follow the 2,000-year Piscean age. The Piscean age, symbolized by the sign of the fish, represents the period when man's consciousness would travel by seas and waterways. The number for the Piscean age was 6. The number for the Aquarian age is 7, and it represents the time when man's consciousness would travel by air and other ethereal planes. It would do well to note that true Roman Catholic Mass is based upon 7 sacraments: baptism, reconciliation, Eucharist, confirmation, marriage, ordination, and unction, anointing of the sick. But its Christian splinter groups, example given Protestants, Lutherans, Methodists, etc., went back to the 6, the body of Christ, blood and wine. The original 7 degrees are the ancient God-man Ish and goddess Isha, training lessons of the ancient Moorish in Africa's holistic civilization. These original his and her lessons of self-mastery, which all initiates upon completion of these holy instructions, were called gods and goddesses. See Adam and Eve. Those who titled themselves as white, as white gods without these courses in divinity are impostors and Moorish imitators. The Moorish are the true founders of Islam, Hotep Islamism. Note, all things created and governed by Allah, the One, derives by the 3, wisdom, will, and love, directed by the holy breath of the 5 principles of action: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. All rests upon the 7. When man is fully conscious of himself, then he and his creator are in fact one. The deification of man now brings us from 1 through the 3, 5, and 7 to the 9. The 9 is re-entry. 9 is the triune time 3. According to the ancient science, the 9 is symbolic of re-entry. The 9 is the conscious rebirth of the God-man, when the God-man of truth attained unto himself as Allah is, himself and Allah is all. The 9 is the last whole number before new life, life everlasting. 9 is man leaving the perpetual realm of why to enter his natural state, divine infinity. This numeral marks man's final use for the illusion of time, space, and calculations. The number 9 and the goddess. The woman also symbolized the life-encompassing power of 9. She sits upon the holy throne of goddess when touched by a god. From this exalted station. In 9 months, the goddess alone can create and build a temple for Allah without the sound of the hammer or use of a nail. The temple is called man. Man means thinker. In Freemasonry, the Moorish goddess is called the widow. This is because Masons are those disguised as the three ruffians that have knocked her African god harem in the head, leaving him civilly dead. See Freemasonry. Today, at best, this goddess of the Nile, Nine, being alone without her husband, man, our God, is the only widow among the nations of the earth. In the United States and its territories, the new African widower is collaterally spoken of as the single woman, my baby's mama, self-proclaimed bitch. See, single moms. Nevertheless, this widow is another Western misnomer because man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah, and while Allah lives, man cannot die. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth this human seed into the soil of soul. He became the Lord of all the kingdoms of the soul. Thus, there can be no widow because Allah is the husbandman. Most Holy Quran, chapter 1. No other woman on planet Mud divinely inherit the title of goddess, save the queens from Africa. The only reason bitch is applied to her in the U.S. is because in science, a bitch is an unprotected female of any species. Her God-man has been displaced and has no current jurisdiction over her or their children. The 9 being triune times 3 is further illustrated by the 3 stages X, 3 degrees of the perfection of man, the adaptification of man. Allah equal wisdom plus will plus love. Prophet equal initiation plus illumination plus perfection. Man equal belief plus faith plus fruition. Through these 3 steps times 3 degrees, the ancient ones perfected the mystery system of Egypt. It was so perfectly developed until it became known as the only straight pathway of perfection. Example given: salvation, redemption, or religion. It is the holistic philosophy of these sciences which became the way of life for the ancient Moors over 25,000 years ago. This became the first religious creed that was taught in degrees to initiates over a period of 2 to 3 years exoteric, or 12 to 18 years esoteric. Those who were initiated by circumcision and completed the first level of self-mastery received the title of sheikh or adept. Graduates of the higher degree received the title of God, prophet, Christ, Messiah, and their life's work was called divine ministry. Moses, Abraham, Boaz, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, Joseph, John, and Yehoshua, Isha, all received their prophethood from the same Egyptian mystery system. Some, example given, Melchizedek and Yehoshua, were of virgin birth of the Adeptus and received the highest God degree called Christendom. All prophets and Christ were distinguished with their own symbol of perfect man. Moses received the staff, David the star, Yehoshua the circle 7, and Noble Drew Ali the circle scimitar and star. Each part of a symbol represents a degree of perfection. The logos is the perfect word, the circle is the perfect symbol, and 7 is the perfect number. Chapter 13, ayahs 2 through 5. This is the full lotus of God in man, also taught by the Saudi guru masters. The Holy Prophet Medu Re brought the Egyptian mystery system in the highest degree ever known to man and bestowed it upon his people, the Moorish Americans. For the first time in 3 ages, 6,000 years, have these lessons been given to an entire nation of people by their ancient forefathers. He divinely instructed the Moorish Americans. There is no one who is able to change man from the descent nature of his forefathers. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 47, ayah 11. Being their prophet, his greatest task is to start them to thinking. This ancient system is the old time religion called Islamism. Question 17 through 18. It is not in conflict with the perfecting of your religion in the great Quran of Muhammad, as brought to his sinful polytheistic people of Mecca, Arabia. In fact, Islamism is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 45, ayah 1. Islam is a perfect segment of Hotep, Islamism. This is the old-time religion which Christians sing for. The Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites from the lands of Canaan and the founder of the holy city of Mecca, Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 45, ayah 2, are the true Sunni Muslims. The word Sunni mean original, and Muslim are those who submit their will to the will of the great God Allah. The Moorish are also the founder of the first religious creed, Islamism, historically known as the 3-step on the master's carpet, the ancient Khamitian mystery system. These degrees, once placed upon the 3-step ladder of salvation, belief, faith, and fruition, would raise the consciousness of the initiate to the wisdom of self, the higher self. Through the knowledge of the lower self, the illusion of the world which are concerned with time, one would become a mastermind, adept with the grace of God Allah. This true education is the definition of the word saved, which is the root of salvation. Anyone who claims to be saved and is not free with these true knowledge of the self, it is in the fringe redemption of Maya. They are still slaves to sin. Again, written upon the sacred temple and walls of the ancient pyramids are the words Sultanate, man, know thyself. The ultimate goals of the Egyptian mystery system and more science. Islamism are the deification of man. This is the most misunderstood lesson in the Moorish American curriculum. Yet the value of all these virtues, standards, and principles rests squarely upon mastering this first degree. Ali was the first to bring the ancient principle of Sultanate to them, declaring in the voice of their forefathers to first know thyself and thy father God Allah. Prophet Yehoshua, born in Bethlehem of Judah in the house of David, became an Egyptian adept Christ during the 18-year period of his life, not found in the Bible. The main reason he was so misunderstood was because he was born during the Piscean age, but his life, work, and teachings were the spiritual bridge from man to Allah. It would be 2,000 years before the human family would realize what he has done. All men must do. This is also the reason Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali could not bring a new religion. He brought the ancient science of Islamism, as it was also revealed to him in Egypt. The same revelation given to the holy prophet Muhammad by the angel Gabriel in Arabia. Drew Ali simply returned again to the Moorish, that which is theirs through inheritance and divine guidance. Moorish Americans often refer to these sacred teachings as the seven great wonders and mysteries. Even in congregational prayer, they stand with eyes open, raised arms with 5 fingers extended on the left hand and 2 fingers on the right. Level at the eyes, a Moor's diadem head then becomes the world beyond the circle of the sun. Chapter 20, ayah 2. This is the prayer stand of all Moorish initiates. All 10 fingers extended with feet at a 45-degree angle is the prayer stance of the adept. Islam. Islam. I will now turn everything back over to our National Assistant Grand Chief, Dr. Sadu Amenti El Mahedi Suel. Islam.
Islamism. Can you hear me, Goddess and Queen?
Islamism. I can hear you well.
Gratitude. Islam, Moorish America. Well, having already risen, we want to give honors to the Book of Fire, which is, in all actuality, our Holy Prophet's autobiography. And in fact, ending on that special note, ties right back into the class that we had last night, and brings us up to pace with where we are right now. And we most definitely have been progressing along the way when it comes to the language. We have many Jews to bring forth to our Moorish kin. And we have been talking about indicators, in the heritograms, and we have dealt with recently comparisons, which is a good methodology to familiarize ourselves with the many different signs. This is an ongoing journey in order for one to really become a master and have a stronghold, so to speak, over the actual language of the hieratic, because we're already familiar with most of the 24 alphabets, so to speak, and in regards to dealing with those special main alphabets, we understand now the usage of where the determinative, as they like to call it, comes into play, which we call indicators, anaglyphic indicators, so to speak. What we see in dealing with this measure is not only an indication of what is being stated in a particular word, but we can also see, if we were dealing with punctuation, this would represent the break in different words, a pause, if you will, or the separation in words. This is how we utilize this within our methodology and the science of bringing forth the language. And we have another drawing to bring forth that actually goes and touches on some of that. And again, we're not done with the papyri of E.A.R.S. We want to go back a few dynasties and deal with one of the oldest papyri, as they call it, the oldest books in the world. And those among our people know this as the teachings of Tahotep. They call them sometimes the maxims of truth. But I'm going to show you a copy that has been out. And I don't have this copy now, but I'm going to actually deal with the ordering on it again, probably after I get off of this class right here. But this is the particular book that is transliterated, but we're going to go into, let's see. we're going to go into the actual papyri, some portions of it in relation to dealing with this subject we've been talking about with these determinatives and what we call indicators. So let me see here. I'm going to share this so our people can see this. This is the book, that I've always known from the brother Hillard III, Asa G, Larry Williams, Naeem Damali. All these ones came together. And if you notice here, what it states here is talking about the instruction of Tahotep, and also as the maximums of Tahotep. The work is believed by some scholars, it says, to be the oldest book in the world. Authorship is attributed to Tahotep, a vizier. We know that name vizier is a modern expression of the name of wazir or osir or osar. See, that's some sound shifting there. But anyway, it says a vizier under King Isesi of the Egyptian 5th dynasty. And that's 2414 according to the time given here in 2375 BC. It states it is a collection of maxims that's like 4,000 years ago. It states 4,000 and some odd years ago, basically. It say it is a collection of maxims and advice in the Sabbath teaching. Sabbath teaching actually means the instruction, wisdom instructions of ancient Kemet. So this is one of the books of the Sabbath teachings, the Jinya on human relations, and are provided as instruction for his son. Now, you ever heard of the maxims in truth as is mentioned in our Moorish Holy Quran? When we go into teaching our seed the maxims of truth, this is the way that they utilize the teaching of Tahotep, the Sabbath teachings during this time, in Kemet. And so, in fact, you're going to see the language in the way that these things are mentioned, because there's some things I'm going to emphasize on, but want to see the language of this special drawing is basically worded the same way as our particular chapters that have to do with our social duties, which we already mentioned. They came from, Akhenaten, the fourth, according to the source. So that's another portion of showing that our teaching comes straight up out of Kemet. And you're going to see as we go into it when we get into some of this text. But it states the work survived today in the papyrus, including the Prissy papyrus, which dates from the Middle Kingdom and is on display at the Bibliothèque nationally in Paris. But we're going, like I say, this is the one that I often seen years ago and read. I never bought a copy recently, but I've read it years ago. And now it's time to revisit this especially, man. You can see it's different copies of it too, by the way. They got different prices on them. So, either or. But like I say, the one that I know always was that particular cover with them on it, the black and gold one. So let me go further into this. Let me stop sharing because I was sharing. I want to share the whole screen. Let me see here. Make sure we got this entire screen sharing here. Okay, there we go. So now I can go into the actual papyri of Prissy. And what we're going to do, we're going to go into some of these things. This is the same way as our papyri of Papyri. This is the actual source material. Anytime you're looking at this, a lot of these letters in here we can pick out, they all over the place. We can just go through here and just point them out. I know I can see a whole lot of going on right here, Man, this is powerful. Just being able to see it. Like, for example, some of the things that we're going to be looking at, family, since this is more clear. If you really pay attention here, you will see that these would be, the actual letters and alphabets. Like this is the Y, you got the N and the A. This actually would be an expression of determinative, so to speak. This would be determinative, as well. That we know that's not an alphabet, but we can go on and on. But we're gonna be pointing these things out in here. And notice this is from these are excerpts, right? Of handwriting from the beginning of the Middle Kingdom containing the maximums. And this is of Ptahhotep, right? The title and introduction to the teachings of Ptahhotep. So when we come here, looking at this thing comparatively, what we find as this is the symbol that they are equated with the Sabate, expression. Sabate actually has to do with teaching, but Sabate also goes into, I'm going to get some background on this. Because not only does this represent wisdom instructions, but this is actually the expression of the 5-pointed star in ancient Kemet. So this is where your harmony, truth, balance, right, order, and justice come from, meaning the Sabate teachings are rooted in harmony, truth, balance, right, order, and justice. What we call in this era and time love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We can actually see that there is no one-to-one comparison, between these two expressions. However, if we go through certain aspects in the dynasties, we will find certain measures. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about right here. But you have to go through. Well, let me say this first before we go into that special aspect. Let me go back here. Now look at the Unicode here. See, we got 314. Gardenia is N14. We're gonna see what we have when we go over here to our molitude and see what we come up with. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up like this and see what happens. Yeah, it let me pull it up. I just put the number in there. I could have put the Unicode. See, it still came up as N14 too. So also, Duat is often mentioned because Sabah, dealing with the stars, often have to do with the celestial realm. As we know, stars exist in the celestial realm, and this is known as the Duat. The Duat, is often expressed as relation to what they would call the underworld. But this underworld is not under the ground. This underworld is actually the upper world. What is hidden behind what it is that you can preserve, what you can perceive within the cosmos. So this is just one star of the Duat, but actually this star symbolizes the whole expression of those celestial bodies, so to speak. And there's a wisdom instruction that comes from the celestial realm, whereas we are able to read the book of the universe or the book of creation as it relates to the cosmos. And these things correspond to the things that are on the plane of things made manifest. But that's a whole nother measure. So, like I said, they didn't show a one-to-one comparison between that and this particular anaglyph and this particular heratogram. We can see that's totally two different expressions here. So this was a grand reaching, to try to compare these two, but we get it. We know what's being said, but we're showing you where this actually comes from. This is what the Europeans were doing when they were transcribing heratograms or the heretic into, these symbols, and I would say for their own approbation, for their own particular measure of being able to understand what they were trying to read, these became the markers, which later became, by these people that's now dealing with Egyptology, they want to call them hieroglyphs. That's a whole nother measure. We can see that letter here, but why not place this one on the manifest if that was the case? And being that this one is so much like this one, we would have to call this cursive hieroglyph. So if this is the case, then this would make this particular expression here the actual hieratic itself, as opposed to the cursive hieroglyph. Remember, I told you, by rule, if we go and we look, this is special measure, just like this right here. This is another writing similar to this, but they all based upon what they are. Based upon during the time. All this was during the 5th dynasty now that all these things came up in correspondence. But this would more likely be the greatest expression of the hieratic. If you were going here, this is not looked at, though, as a singular alphabet, so to speak. This is Seba. You see, Sebate. This is the word, actually, this is SEB. So this is a triliteral. And all we are doing is trying to identify when we run across these things and not mistaking them as representing a letter. They represent a word. And we just explained to you what the Sabate represented. And so you see Duat, Sabate, and then you come down here in the 18th dynasty and you see the same thing, Duat, Sabate, Sabah. That word Saba is very important because the word Saba also represent, in the teachings of al-Islam, they would tell you that the descendants of Enoch, or Akhnuk is the name that they refer to him by. His descendants were known as Sabi. Now, if you don't know the history behind Akhnuk or Enoch, according to Islamic teaching, he is said to be the actual prophet that was sent to the Egyptians. It was said that he was actually in Sumeria as well at a time, but he actually went into, he settled along the Nile in Manafa. And Manafa is basically another way of, it's the Arabic way of saying Memphis. So this was basically like the capital. And so Akhnuk, the prophet Enoch, as they like to call him, was the messenger that was sent to Kemet long before Moses ever went there. So Sabi coming through his descendant line. If you understand who Sabi is, then you go into Surah 34 in the Grand Quran, and the surah is referred to as Al-Sabah. This is the surah that deals with the Sabians, which are the ancient pre-Islamic Cushites that inhabited Arabia, prior to Islam being revealed to Muhammad during his time. Though Muhammad himself was a student, he was a part of the Sabi'un Hunafa, and during this particular time, he was a part of their particular way of life that was known as being immersed into the divine wisdom. And this in the Grand Quran came to be known as Sebagatala. So you see the connection, and this is why you hear me say this is the Moorish school of thought, because this is the ancient Cushite way, and it's actually mentioned in the Grand Quran where he speaks of, those who are Sabians. These people are recognized, and they will receive their reward. This is right there in the Grand Quran, when we speak of this. You see? Matter of fact, what I'm going to do, just for good sakes, we will show this to our family. And you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Because some of our people may need this for clarity when I speak. Okay. This is what I said here. See this here? Sabians. And there are two different groups of Sabians too, which we have to be careful in order to understand the true Sabians, and then those who became Sabians, as opposed to the original Sabians. So right here it states the Sabians, sometimes also spelled Sabians or Sabians, right? Or a mysterious religious group mentioned 3 times in the Quran, Al-Sabi'un. Remember I said that Muhammad was Sabi'un Hunafa originally, right? Remember I said the people of Sabi come through the line of Enoch. And if Enoch was the messenger that was sent to teach in Kemet, it all makes sense when we talk about the Sabbath teachings, because Enoch is also synonymous with Tehuti, thought. So now we understand that Tehuti was the first teacher of Al-Sa. Oh, now it makes sense, don't it? So it says in latter sources, Al-Sabia, it says where it is implied that they belong to the people of the book. Al-Kitab, the people. Al means people. Al means the, and Kitab means book. You see, now this word Kitab is a strong word because it's in the Arabic, Hebrew, and you can go into the Kemetic reference to this. But it says their original identity, which seems to have been forgotten at an earlier date, right, has been called an unsolved Quranic problem. It ain't no problem. It's just the Arabs don't want to talk about it. Let's just be honest about this, because this is talking about the ancient Cushites. They don't want to get involved with that, even though the Quran co-signed the Sabians as being an authentic people and those who are under the grace of Allah. So they don't want you to go back to that way of thinking, because they think you will abandon their present expression of Islam. That's why they don't want to talk about it. I'm going to give it straight to you. Modern scholars have variously identified them as Mandaeans, Manichaeans, and there are also documents, Manichaean documents, which are actually the Essenes deal with a lot of those documents. You know, the Essenes, the Nazarites, and so forth and so on. So it says Sabians, Sabians. It also tells you too, these were the ones that were in South Arabia. You know, also you can see here the modern day Yemen. You know, these are the people of the land of Sheba, the oldest and most important nation. These people of Sheba were located on the other side of the Red Sea, across from the Nile Valley civilization. If you heard our chairman when he was speaking earlier, he was talking about the lost tribes of Ali, and he mentioned the lost tribe of Shabazz. You know, these are the Sabians that migrated from the Arabian Peninsula into Africa as well and settled along the Sudan. That's why you heard our brother, even brother Elijah Poole Bay, a student of the Prophet, talk about the tribe moving from Arabia and went into the jungles of Africa to civilize the Nile. That's where all that come from, family, if you didn't know. The word Sabah also means seven, you see, because it deals with the cycle of perfection. You know, Sabah is also a word that went all the way down into Greek so-called language, because they say Sabazus or Sabazius. Sabazius, see, like Shabazz, Sabazius, which means Sabah, seven, Zeus, to them that meant God. We hear that in our Moorish Holy Quran, right? When it's telling you the names of the deities in the chapter dealing with the unity of Allah and man, right? So Sabah and Zeus and Sabazius has always been perceived by them as what they called an Ethiopian god. I'm talking about the people calling themselves so-called Greeks, right? And then this Ethiopian deity is the same one being referred to again as this God, man. They all connected to the same people that we are dealing with. We call them the Sabians. In fact, when George Washington was setting the Keystone, you know, when they first gave his little Masonic ceremonies of trying to so-called find out where they were going to put Washington at, when it rained them out, they went in and came back out and couldn't find it, the place where they was going to set it. So they was digging around and they ended up finding a hand known as the hand of Sabazius. And this is special hand, you know, they kept, but this hand is known all around the world. You know, this symbol that they had, definitely coming from a Kemetic expression. But nevertheless, I'm just showing you all the things that's connected or attached to this name Sabi and Saba. You know, in fact, when you hear them talk about the Sabbath, you know, keeping the Sabbath, you know, is also a connection to this That's why we say Friday is the day in which man was formed in the flesh, and also when he departed out of flesh. If you come from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday becomes your Sabbath day. So when you talk about the man on that day, that again goes back to the Sabbath, the Shabbat, all that type of stuff, right? It's linguistically connected. But the 7 is the key, because they would often say as well, our family in the NOI, this is the God tribe, And so it's a lot of information out here. Most of our history has been scattered abroad. I'm showing you the connection between our people and what it is that we have been drawing. All of us have been drawn from Kemet in one way or another. Ain't no secret. Even when you deal with just religions in general, as the chairman pointed out, all of those schools of thoughts in the chart of Islamism has taken something from Kemet. But yet and still, we know the first teacher, instructor, in the mysteries was Tehudi, Idris, which is also known Quranically and biblically as Enoch or Akhenut. Actually the name Akhenut, you can actually see the connection to that in Akhenaten. There's a connection there. But anyway, so it says, modern scholars have variously identified them as Mandaeans, Manichaeans, Sabaeans, Ecasinites, also Acronics, and then Hunafa. This is what Muhammad's way of life was before. See, it says in Islam, Hanif means to renounce. It is someone who maintains a pure monotheism of the patriarch Abraham. More specific in Islamic thought enunciates were the people who during pre-Islamic period of Jahiliyyah, as they call it. So pure monotheism of Abraham was the way of Sabah, the way of the Sabians, which is Hunafa. So that's why they are called Asabi'un Hunafa. This is what Muhammad was demonstrating. At that time, they were using the name Allah. We have all the primary sources to prove that, even though there was some who was associating partners with Allah, and all this stuff in came up with their own little demonstration. And, the Quran even corrected that as revelations came periodically, about your Alat and Al-Uzza and Manat. Allah, even in that time, though, was always considered the supreme deity. You see, even in pre-Islamic ignorance, and you will find Allah numerous times in poetry, that existed before the Quran was ever revealed. You see, so the Sabi'un Hunafa, they utilized the name Allah, even before Muhammad received his revelation, so to speak. Just want to let you know that these were the ones that he also learned his mode of prostration from, because in the Quran, it don't tell you, how to pray as far as bow. Now, all that is described in the hadiths, which they say these are the traditions of Muhammad, and some people try to put that over the Quran, and that is not right, people. You do not put the hadiths over the Holy Quran that were revealed by Allah. That's where the confusion comes from, because certain hadiths that have been revealed are not so sound. And so if you go to judge in the Quran based on the hadith you read, now you got people prejudiced against Islam because of certain things that have been put in certain hadiths. Nothing wrong with the hadiths, but if it don't correspond with what the great God Allah revealed, it's not correct. Even if it's sounding like it's good or whatever, you may take heed to a certain measure of it, but you'll never put that over, what the great God Allah revealed. And that's really where the conflict come in, because this is how the Arabs are able to Arabize the people. And then they will call people like me, which I ain't got nothing against hadith, because I got 3 books up there. Reliance of the Travel touch on a little bit of the hadith here and there. No problem. They got Sahih, Tirmidhi, and all that type of stuff they refer to. However, they will refer to me as what they call a Quranist. Anybody that don't put the hadith first, they call them Quranists, as if that's something negative to be. Somebody who believes solely in the book that Allah revealed. And so this is This is what fanaticism and all that come into play. And anyway, it goes on and it states Hunafa either as a type of Gnostics. Now, if you see right here, and they actually given the definition of even the concepts of Gnosticism, because there are a lot of doctrine among the Essenes, the Nazarites, that deal with what is called Gnosis. Gnosis is another way of saying esoteric knowledge, just to put it plain out there. Notice this word know, G-N-O, is at the root of noti, sutanoti, know thyself. So a lot of the teachings of what we call Gnostics, and don't think of this as agnostic, but the Gnostics, they also said that this goes into the realm of those who are called sectarians, and these are basically those who have come into their own wisdom teachings based upon the teachings that have been received. Then they say also, or as adherents of the astral religion, and this as astrologics, astrology, astrotheology, mysticism, astrostellar theology. Now, stellar theology, they say, well, this is the worship of the stars, the planets, and heavenly bodies, deities, associating deities with heavenly bodies. However, this is the Europeans' expression of what it is. No, they didn't worship the heavenly bodies. They revered and respected and they honored the heavenly bodies and the laws of creation. See, we got to get out of this and stop being afraid to correct this stuff when we see it, or bring better clarity. So this is why you will see that same expression in the heratogram we just showed you with the star and then the sabate and the duat. And so this is how the Europeans say, well, they were worshiping the stars. No, they wasn't. They understood the laws of the nature. Because if they were worshiping the stars, then Allah wouldn't say in the Quran that the Sabians was on the right path. Because that would be considered idolatry to worship the stars, right? So anyway, it says some scholars believe that it is impossible to establish their original identity with any degree of certainty. That's what they want you to believe. And there's a good reason why you have people like this, because there is a group of Sabians that were demonstrating in a paganistic way. But then the true Sabians, however, were those who were actually dealing with monotheism. And this is where our brother Muhammad, was coming through that lineage. I'm just showing you the connection between that and how the ancient Khametian system reached us through the teaching of Islamism. Just as we can show different other avenues through which the same teaching from Kemet reached those who call themselves Israelites. Or reached those who call themselves Buddhists, or reached those who call themselves, believers or whatever it is they are. Kemet is the oldest. Hands down. You can't get around that. So it says, at least from the 9th century on, the Quranic epithet, Sabian, was claimed by various religious groups who sought recognition by the Muslim authorities as the people of book deserving legal protection. In other words, they trying to say that basically those who didn't want to accept their particular version of Islam, they were saying that these groups was trying to accept recognition, but no, this was revealed by Allah. He the one said that he honored the Sabians. The Muslim don't have no authority that supersede the great God Allah. You see, in fact, in the Quran, it says Allah is the one who make a Muslim. And we ain't even got to what a Muslim is. We know that's the will of Allah. They were just submitting to the will. So if the Muslim authority submitted to the will, then who's seeking recognition from them to be accepted under the teaching? Come on, stop it, people. Goodness gracious. Man is ever corrupted. So in this particular drawing here, they actually, and that's Surah Al-Ma'idah, Surah 5, is actually mentioned right here. It's Wasabi, Sabiwu. Let me see here. I want to actually go to the quote on it. And they got so many different aspects here. They talking about the etymology of the word Sabi is disputed. You know, everything that has to do with a connection to our people, I notice it either has to be pseudo or it has to be obscure. Don't nobody want to admit the truth of it. And that's why we got the pen in our hand. It says, according to one interpretation, is active participle in the Arabic root S&B. It says turn to, meaning converts. Another widely cited hypotheses first proposed by Daniel looked like Trollus Hum. It states in 1856 it is derived from an Aramaic root meaning to dip or baptize. Now notice actually the word that's used in the Quran is sebugatala. When it say we seek the baptism, our religion is the baptism of Allah. It ain't talking about slam dumping your head behind no altar. You know, it's saying to become. They also use the term take upon the hue of Allah, meaning his moral code, his moral teaching, the Sabbath teachings, Sabbath. So indirectly, even though they're saying different expressions in different languages, we know the oldest version of the S&B goes back to what we just showed you in the hieratic. You see? So it says interpretation as converts was cited by various medieval Arabic lexicographers and also philologists, pardon self. It says, and is supported by a tradition preserved by Ibn Hashim. Died 834, editor of the earliest surviving biography of Prophet Muhammad. It says, relating to the term Sabi, it said it was applied to Muhammad and the early Muslims by some of their enemies, perhaps the Jews, who regarded them as having turned away from the proper religion in their eyes towards hearsay. See, so even those who had seen them, when they seen Muhammad get his revelation, they called him Sabit. You see, and so this is what they say, well, this is turning to or turning away from what it is they was demonstrating. It says, who regarded them as turned away from the proper religion towards heresy. As such, the term may have been reappropriated by early Muslims. It says first as a self-designation, and then to refer to other people from a Jewish and Christian background who turned to new revelations offered by Muhammad. So in other words, from the Islamic standpoint, this was a self-designation of somebody who was dealing with monotheism, who turned away from idolatry, basically, corruption in religion, corruption in teaching. They turned to these instructions, and this was a name that the Muslims actually applied to what they call now right here Jewish Christians, and we say the Nasara. Nasara is actually the Arabic word, which is Nazarite. In the biblical text, it tells you that too. The Romans were the first one to give those who study the Bible the name Christian. But so this word Sabah, you know, was actually given to them. That's why I always tell our people Sabah represents the seven. The seven is the most universal expression that unite all of our people, regardless of what they stand on. The seven is sacred to Kemet. The seven is sacred to, you know, Judaism, Islam. The seven is sacred to Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism. So the seven is a very powerful symbol, and this is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought it back as our symbol, because we are letting people know, and the gateways are to show our people that not only do we move from the center and out of bound with our message, but the world is invited to come through these gateways, to come back to this unity. That's really the core of the message that was revealed by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because it's going back to the root, Kemet. So Islamism, for this very purpose, is recognized as the uniting of these teachings. So again, it says also the background who turned to new revelations offered by Muhammad in context of the Quranic passages in which the term occurs. It may thus refer to all people who leave their faiths finding fault in them, but who have yet come to Islam. In this sense, the term Sabi would be similar in meaning the term Hanif. So now you see why they called him Sabi'un Hunafa and Hanif. You see? In fact, before Muhammad was called Muhammad, he was known as Alamin. Alamin means trustworthy. Amin, Aman, Amun. You see, that name go back to Kemet as well. Amen. You see, that's a whole nother drawing. So it says other etymologies have also been proposed. According to Judah Segal, the term referred to Soba. It says a Syriac name. It says for Nisibis, a city in Upper Mesopotamia as well. It has also been related to the Hebrew Saba, the heavenly hosts. These will be your Elohim, the seven Elohim. Notice here again, there they go, implying star worshippers. See, this is what I'm talking about. They want you to believe that our people were worshiping the stars, family, and worshiping the idols. That way you are forever, I don't want to deal with that. They were worshiping the star, get spooky. And really, they got you worshiping a blonde hair, buttermilk complected man. Come on now, make it make sense. And as you can see here, this is the Maghribi script. It ain't got no vowels in it, really. But this is the way that a lot of this right here, you can see the closeness of Demotic here. But anyway, it says in the Quran briefly mentions the Sabians in 3 places. Surat al-Baqarah, which is the Surah of the cow, and Surat al-Ma'idah and Surat al-Hajj, mentioned in all these 3 places. So let's see, what is being said here in Surah 2, Ayat 62, when it referred to the Sabians. Because this is what I'm getting at. This is why I tell you, let me see. This is why I tell you, this is our school of thought. We ain't dealing with Arabism. See right here? It says, indeed, those who believe in those who were Jews or Christians or Sabians, then they put in parentheses here, before Prophet Muhammad, it says, those among them who believed in Allah and the last day did their righteousness will have their reward with their Lord. And it says, no fear will there be concerning them, nor will they grieve. Now, in this translation, they are putting the cap on it as those before Muhammad. But if you read other translations of this particular measure, it's going to read a little different. I'm going to show you something. In this particular version, it states, indeed, the believers, Jews, Christians, and Sabians. You see the difference in the spelling, right? It says, whoever truly believes in Allah in the last day and does good would have their reward with their Lord, and there will be no fear for them, nor will they grieve. These are the Sabians included here. So in other words, actually, in the use of Ali, it includes Muslims here as well. But here it's isolating it to Jews, Christians, and Sabians. So it's saying those who are following their way of life properly, and not associating the partners that most of the people have been demonstrating, with God, these people will actually be those who receive their reward with the great God Allah. So this would be the Cushite lineage. This is representing us. If you want to know where we at, you see, this is our path. You see, so when you come up here, this is why. See, it says, and the Sabians, this is actually why. That's W-A-Y, al-Sabi'un. See, Y-L-S-A-B-I, right? That's also, you don't even have to use that, it carry over, but it actually connects to the Y. And this is N-A, Wasabi'in. You see? We can't make this stuff up, family. This is us here. And notice, let's go back when it speaks of the Christian. Remember I told you what it called them? Where is it? Let me find it real quick. There it go, right there. See, it says, and the Christians, this is Wa, El Nasera. See, this is what Nazarite. So when we talk about Yahushua being a Nazarite, this is it right here. W-A-N, right? This is the N, this is A, right? And this is S-A, right? This A, long A carrying over letter R, and you don't even have to really add this at the end. You know, it's just really A, and this would be a Y though normally. So that's Wa Nasara. You see, the Nazarite. So it's talking about the Nazarite. Also, let me go here. For this word Jews right here that they're using, this is Hadu. Hadu. Or sometimes you see Yehuda. This is the letter H. This is A, D, and U, and W. Hadu, which is what the word Judah. Actually, it means guide in the attribute of Allah. Hadi, like when they talk about Mahdi, rightly guided one, and all that coming, it comes from the same root of this word. So this is the people of the tribe of Judah. And if we know anything about the Moors and the Sephardim, they were the ones that went into Spain, the Philocious. These are people that are called the true descendant of the line of Yehuda. Then you have the Nazarite, and then you have, the Cushite, the Sabians. I'm just cutting through the chase and all that. They ain't gonna tell you that, so I'm giving you basically a live commentary of what's being said there. If you think that I'm just making this stuff up, to the people that may be looking and don't know this, or later on down the line, I'm gonna show you something real quick here, just so that you know that we ain't making this up when it comes to the pronunciation, because we're gonna make sure our people get this truth regardless. We're gonna go to this particular area right here. We're gonna go back to Surah 2. Okay, there it go. It popped right over. I ain't even have to go there. So now watch this. I told you this is right. Hadu, right? Right? Okay, so now I told you this was Nazarite, right? And then I told you this was Sabian, right? There you go. So now that we know this is where the Moors lineage comes through Kemet, through the line of the Sabians. You see, I can't make this stuff up. This is Quran. It was written way before I was born. So you can't say Brother Shaheed created this on his own. So that's one aspect right there, right? So now, because we're dealing with this word Sabbath, I want you to understand, the fullness of how far this thing goes, because a lot is being hid here. So it ain't strange that our ancestors call these teachings the Sabbath teachings. So we can equate the Sabbath teachings, because we got the pen in our hand, to that of the Sabian, because Sabi is descendant again of the teacher of ancient Kemet, Enoch, Tehudi, same entity. All you got to do is read the book of Enoch and read the teachings of Tehudi, and you will see the story is parallel, even though they're being told in different ways. Tehudi went through the heights of the heavens, seeing everything that would happen, destruction, all of that. But then the same thing in the book of Enoch, that's what it's talking about. He went into the heavens and seen the revolutions and bore witness to the Elohims. It's the same story being told, family. You see, it just ain't been told and brought to the forefront, because ain't nobody brought it forth till we talking about it now. You see, same story. And we gonna expose all of that, everything that has been taken from Kemet, and a lot of the works that we bring into the manifest. So let me go to this next surah real quick. Like I told you, this is Surah 34. I don't really need a lot of this stuff. I can actually speak it off my head, but I can't do that and get away with it, because if I do it, they're going to say I'm demonstrating pseudoism. So I'm just showing our family this right here. A lot of this stuff I can quote verbatimly off the head. So if you look here, This is Saba, right? It's Surah 34, just like I said, right? Now, Surah Saba is actually talking about how great the civilization of the Sabians was, or the people of Saba, the Cushites was. It's talking about, those who were gifted with knowledge. It's talking about how people went astray after having the knowledge. It also talk about how we were building certain things, and in that knowledge of building, it even talk about Solomon also marrying the wife, or becoming acquainted with the goddess that was known as Bilquis, or Queen Sheba. See it right here. Indeed, there was a sign for the tribe of Sheba. There it goes, Shebas, right? In their homeland, 2 orchards, one to the right and the other to the left. They're talking about gardens now. Rivers flowing. It says, they were told, eat from the provision of your Lord and be grateful. Him, yours is a good land and a forgiven land. Now watch what it say. But they turned away. So we sent against them a devastating flood and replaced their orchards with 2 others producing bitter fruit and fruitless bushes, a few sparse thorny trees. But it goes on and on talking about how we built, big buildings and so forth and so on. We were masters at building structures. We already know this is talking about the pyramids and the obelisks and everything you see there now. Because the true Kemites come from the south, which is really Upper Egypt. These were the Tassetians, or the people of the Sudan. You see, Seti, if you place the D in the place of the T, Seti. So the Sudanic people, are the Nubians, so to speak. They were the ones who actually gave birth to the Kemetic culture, the Narcotic culture. Anybody know the truth? Know this right here. European have you thinking something else if you don't know no better. Talking about Hermetic hypotheses and everything else. So anyway, we were the ones who built these things, family. There's a whole surah in the Quran dedicated to that, but they ain't gonna talk about it like that, the Arabs. Nor would they translate it this way. That's why I say we got to translate our own Grand Quran as well, so we can make greater detail of these things in there, and our people will have a greater understanding of them. So yeah, it's history in here on that, Moorish King. Very powerful history in here in relation to dealing with, the people of Sabah. Do some research on that right there, doing your own time and your own study. So, like, going back to where we were now that we have some grand insight and some historicity in reference, to this drawing on Saba, Sabia, the Sabate, we can see this thing go deeper than what the eye can see. So they have it also in Dynasty 25. Also, if you go further, you see it in Dynasty 3, which should have really been up, closer to the top anyway. But notice in Dynasty 3, you see a crescent moon added to the anaglyph. You see, they have a semblance of that here. We know that would be also what they would call the cursive hieroglyph. Here's another expression of that same drawing here. And this one here would be more close to the heratogram, I would state. But nevertheless, you see it. That's the actual symbol that is just represent one phase, actually, of what later became our grand national emblem. The salvation demonstration coming straight from Kemet. So you can see it again here, same thing being demonstrated. And so that's good coverage just on this alone in reference to this word. I just wanted to point that out. And also for good measure, we're going to go here as well. Oh, don't you close on me. Okay, there we go. So we're going to pull up the M14 here because that's what they're going to allow and see what happened. Okay, they got it here and they have this particular measure here. We'll go here. And they start in the 5th dynasty. Kakai and Neferkare the first was ringing at this time. You already seen this symbol right here. This is the heratogram. Here's another one in the Old Kingdom in the 6th dynasty, the first intermediate period. Remember, this is not an alphabet. This is actually expressing a word. See, first intermediate period, 9th in the 10th dynasty, Heracleopolis, pardon self, and Neri, the first, Nomarch. Okay, here we have again, this is the one that we pointed out also as, the proper heratogram. If we're looking at the alphabetical hieratic expression, in certain things we can see that sometime when they put these things in order, they're not putting them in order properly per se. They're not distinguishing, the cursive hieroglyphs from the actual hieratic letters. And that's something we would do when we bring forth our own materials. You see, and all you would do is just put the oldest version of the hieratic there. And then if you want to express later the heratogram that relates to the cursive expression of a hieroglyph, then you'll put that actually the earliest dynasty that would come behind the heratogram. Because we know hieratic existed before, cursive hieroglyphs and, hieroglyphs, as they like to call them. So yeah, so they have them here. All of these things we can see being demonstrated right there. So before I go further into this special measure, because we do a lot of opening up the floor, we want to go to our scribes and see what they have to state in reference to what we brought forth so far. Islam.
Islam.
Grand Secretary of State.
Gratitude. Islam Moorish Ken, having already risen, giving praise and honor where due. As I was listening to you, Dr. Shaheed, and much gratitude for this special class, I just had a mode of gratitude because the hammer of repetition, and every time that you go over Sabbath teachings, Sabians, I receive a higher elevation. And I just encourage my Moorish kin that these are the keys that we are receiving here in our E.A.R.S class, just to make it applicable to the self, or to take these teachings to heart. We got to do the research on our own so that we can be what we know, not what we're told. And this is such a grand demonstration where you can go into the Quran of Muhammad, dealing with the the Jews, the Sabians, and got it that quick, and I had it written down too. Well, the three groups that you were speaking about, the grander picture is that the other reason that these keys were buried is because once we put aside what is termed so-called religion today, which has our people separated and demarcated, even to the point of war, etc., when we see that all of us come from the same source and the same teachings, then this breaks down the barriers, the hatred and things, and allow us to be able to come together in the state of peace, harmony, which is what that star represents. So this is just a grand measure. And again, I just encourage our Moorish kin on the line to do the research, because you have to make it applicable to the self. So gratitude, Dr. Shaheed, for taking the time and putting in that hammer of repetition, because for me, I receive higher elevations. Peace and love.
In Islamism, gratitude, Grand National Secretary of the State, for that grand drawing. And that's exactly what's being taught. It said it in the Quran. It say, basically, whithersoever you turn, there's the presence of the great God. And it also tell you that he has given to each people a law and an open way. But he said that way leads back to him, which that's the goal, to the creator, the source, returning to the source. That's what we call more science. And so when our people are able to see that, and this message has been given throughout all the texts, but for some reason seems like our people get amnesia when you begin to talk about that type of unity.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the Bible, it told them, well, all scripture is profitable for doctrine, reproof, and correction. Instructions, right? It also said, despise not prophecies, but they look over that,
Mm-hmm.
it's telling them to study everything, and they still don't want to listen in each book. So Islam, that brother Marvin Epplebay.
Islam.
Okay,
Yep. Go ahead, guys. I mean, was that Dr. Dendra? Yes, she can go.
Okay.
I mean,
Islam. All right. Well, all right.
Islam.
Well, brother. Go ahead, Sister Dendra.
Islam. Gratitude, God, man. Council General of Texas. Gratitude. I am Dr. Dendra Neokur. To be honors has already been given, but I do want to give honors, Dr. Shaheed, because to the readings, you always come up with these readings coming from a book of fire. It's like they just tie right in to what you be talking about. And we give honors to our national grand chairman for this book, for this writing. And like the goddess say, I too enjoyed, and I was just, me and my son was just talking about Keith. We was talking about the Sabbat teachings, and I'm glad, like the goddess say, that you are going over this, because I want to know more, because this is the teachings that we follow, and what just excites me, and what just give me I don't have words for us. How you show how it goes back to Kemet. And see, you can't say that this is not tied to Kemet, because we know that we was the one who gave everything to the world. So it started in Kemet, and that's where it started from. And then when you was talking about how the European, how they told us that we worship many gods. And that is so true, because I can remember when I was first learning about Egypt and Kemet and stuff, they was telling us about how we used to worship the moon and the sun and all those different things. And that do put doubt in your mind. That do put that, because you be like, and coming from Christianity, I'm thinking that I'm worshiping the one and only true Son of God, and all this stuff, and we only Jesus, in April 1, and we got to worship him. And then when you hear something about who are our ancestors, that just and you not having any knowledge. Now, keep in mind, we didn't been hit over the head with that cinema, so we don't have a clue about they telling us a lie. And when you start hearing that our people worship other gods, oh yeah, and plus they already done drill in your head that we was like animals swinging from trees, that we was dumb, illiterate, all the negative stuff that they have said about us. And then when you bring in the worshiping of the different gods in there, oh man, that really helps seal that little distrust in us about not listening to the teachings or anything concerning our ancestors, because they worship many gods and all this, all that negative. I'm so glad that you are here pulling the cover off, pulling the cover back, so our people, especially our people out there in YouTube and who's listening, this is so family. I tell you, you can't get these teachings from no Ivy League school, and here we are bringing it to you every Sunday for free. I tell you, family, I am so grateful to be a part of this research class. It's just an honor for me. And even if I wasn't a part of this class, to be able to get to come on like y'all doing, just to sit back and listen. Oh, family, you don't know what that's a treasure that you can't pay money for to get these teachings. And I'm just enjoying myself. Gratitude, God, man, for all you do and listening to the prophet, because see, we know that the prophet is the one that's gotten you to all this stuff and all this information you be giving us. We know our prophet is doing it through you, because we already know our prophet ain't dead. So Islam, gratitude, God, man, for letting me share peace and love. As you can see, I'm still excited.
And Islam and peace and love to you as well, goddess and queen. We give honors to you for all that you do. Islamism without the schism. All right. Peace and love. Okay, Brother Marvin, that was bad.
Gratitude for calling me. This is Dr. Marvin Evans Day. Praise and honor have been given. What praise and honor I do. Yeah, I'll resound what the Moore said before me. Man, this is a powerful class. I mean, just growing into the understanding of what you're bringing. You know what I mean? Like, cause when we first started out, we had no idea. I had no idea. But and what it is revealing to me is that it's all about conquering that lower self. You know what I mean? When sometimes I think, well, and we have these different thoughts. I'm sure everyone has had different thoughts. But for me, I like all of the brothers and sisters that was in this class in the beginning that's not here. I can actually see and understand what happened. You know what I mean? What has happened, because the thoughts have come to me. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? You know what I mean? But then again, as the God in me, takes over of that lower self, and it maintains my position here. I mean, maintain my desire to be here, and then it was revealed to me all of these blessings that you're bringing. I mean, because the initial energies was that this is what we need, this is what we've been missing, and this is aiding. It is aiding me in understanding what has really taken place, and because what the Europeans did to us and is continually trying to continue to do it is so tremendous that the average person couldn't even begin to understand. I mean, they went all the way back to our original teachings in Kemet. That's what these people did. They went in everything. When they rummaged, they pillaged everything about us. You know what I mean? To keep us buried forever and a day. You know what I mean? And it causes one to think when they look at, especially all their new machines and new guns and using this AI technology, all of these things that they're doing to keep us buried, and it would have one to say, had the prophet not come, had Morse American government had not been erected here, you know what I mean, and has all of our instructors, all of our masterminds hadn't taken on their mission for us, we would think that, yeah, we would never get up out of this. You know what I mean? And that's why I could see why some of the brothers, that I've talked to say that Negroes would never come together. Because they can't see it. They haven't been, and you spoke of it, and it's been written that Allah has not allowed them to see. You know what I mean? So that's why we can count ourselves so blessed to be able to get glimpses. You know what I mean? And the more that we stay, the more that we strive, the more that we learn, it is being revealed to us. It's through that sincerity, you know what I mean? Through our persistence, through our endurance, as the tribal endurance has shown us, you know what I mean? As being an example for us. I mean, there's really so much to be said. I mean, but you said it all. You know what I mean? And so I can only just give my gratitude, you know what I mean, for being here. You know what I mean? And to be fortifying myself, you know what I mean, to continue to continue to study the self and realize that the great God put everything in us. And the prophet, you know what I mean, came and woke us up to this. He said, yo, you are God. You know, you are angels. You know what I mean? You are a special people. You are not what they told you you were. You know what I mean? Shiftless, lazy, good for nothing. You know what I mean? Negroes, colored folks, black, all of these things that allude to slavery, allude to being nothing. But we are, you know, the return of the ancient ones. And we got a job to do. So let's dig in. Gratitude, God, man, for allowing me to speak. And gratitude for all that you do. Islam and peace.
Islam.
Sir, Islam and peace, brother, for that drawing, brother Marvin Ellis Bay. Gratitude for that measure. All right, brother Bati Bay. Islamism.
Islam, and one of the biggest. I remember when I was young, I got approached by a brother from the NOI, and he wanted me to do something verbatim. My mind, naturally went against it, and looking back now, it's like he wanted me to write on a piece of paper this phrase or whatever, and he was trying to check my ability to follow instructions. And I was like, man, ain't nobody trying to hear that. I'm on this note right here. You know what I'm saying? So uh I when I'm looking at, and I said that to say this because it wasn't meant for me to learn that aspect of it. It was meant for me to grow in the degrees that I grew into to get the teachers and to get to this point. And even then, your mind have to be ready for the discipline before you can accept it. Meaning you already have to have some type of discipline in you, and without discipline, there's no order. And so when we're looking at a God, like you said, the buttermilk complected, and getting your head slam dunked underwater. When you're looking at your God in the form of fashion that is not like you, there is no discipline, no amount of discipline that you can exercise to that. If you were in a country with your people that look like you, or you were in under the jurisdiction of people that look like you don't have the ability to accept their understanding of anything from any other education aspect. So therefore, you can only perpetually be trained to the concepts. And I had posted Bernie Mac, and he had said the joke. He said, if you can tell God a joke that he wouldn't that he couldn't answer to, you got one chance. You got your final chance of getting in. Well, he whispered in his ear, and he said, "Open." He looked up, looked left, looked right, looked up, down, and he said, "Open the gate." And he was like, the European dude walked up on him and said, "What was the question?" He said, "When are NBCs gonna stick together?" And what I'm saying, so that right there kind of brings the mentality of if you worshiping a God that doesn't look like you, one, your custom and traditions and modes of education is not from your own. If you're not even under your own jurisdiction, then you are going to be always in a perpetual state of slavery because you have nothing to tie yourself to. And when we see that our Moorish even our education, not just our bloodline, but our educational line comes through, and it's spoke about in the books of we know trickle down to the to Islam, but the first religious creed, we see that this is not something new to us. So it's always, I believe when Farrakhan said that it is written in your nature. God, Allah is written in your nature. So the laws, everything. Is just when you have to be in the right format and in the right under the right circumstances and conditions where that flower can or that seed can be budded and eventually turn into that flower. And so this is what we're doing here is really unfolding and laying the groundwork for the ones that come behind us. There's a lot of work to be done, and these are the national, building the foundation is right here with Meg, and even on this apparatus here. And with that, I give honors to you and all the Moors online and Act One in its entirety. Islam, peace, and love.
Gratitude, grand man, for that drawing. Yeah, that's exactly how it go. All we got to do is just be willing to know the self, and we can't go wrong. You see how all of this is coming just out of one indicator or determinative, so to speak, express. And this is why we say we can't limit these things. We have to go into the essence of them, and we will find a whole lot. Like I say all the time, you hear people talking about Malati Ibrahim, the path of Abraham, but they don't know the real path of Abraham is the way of the Sabian, the way of the Sabbatic teachings of ancient Kemet, which, reach far and wide. Also, we know that when it speaks on it, say our religion is the religion of the baptism of Allah. The word Sebugatala is used. That's the moral code of following God and personifying his attributes, not just talking about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, romanticizing it, but conforming to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And yes, that is nature. That's the nature. Even our brother Pool Bay stated, I got to draw it in my archives because I had a measure he had a long time ago on who is the original man. And I studied a lot of their works thoroughly, but in this particular text, who is the original man, he said that your nationality is not your landmass or your skin color. That's what he said. He say, if we were to destroy all the Europeans and take them all off the planet, you'll still have a black hell on your hand. I can't find that particular piece of information, but I do have a piece of the one where he was saying your religion and your nationality is not your skin color nor your landmass. It is the nature in which you were created. And so some of our NOI family ain't even following their own teaching, and we don't say that to attack them, but it's just like Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We know that when he said that, we were going to come into our own in the year 2000, everything that happened prior to that was all a part of keeping the dome and waking us up. And so teachings like this allow us to bridge the gap and come together in oneness and unity before it's too late, so to speak. And before I go forward with my next drawing, I want to show you something else because I mentioned this and I like to always source up, so to speak. And I was telling you about, the Sabians and so forth and so on. And actually, this is a particular site that's speaking on the Sabians. It was talking about Caliph al-Mamun, and he was getting ready. He had told him, he says, you don't belong to one or the other of these groups now, and I'm just cutting it down, densing it. But it says, as you don't belong to one or other of these groups now, he say, choose one of the two alternatives. Either embrace the religion of Islam or else one of those religions which Allah has mentioned in his book. You see what I'm saying? See, a lot of people don't get it. Then he said, otherwise, I will slay you to the last man. I'm going to grant you a delay until I return from the journey of mine. He didn't say except Islam, which he, at this time they were going to war. It was war's fault, unfortunately, when it dealt with this. But those who he had conquered, he didn't tell them except Islam, I'm going to take you off the count. He said, either embrace the religion of Islam or else one of the religions which Allah mentioned in his book. So this is a Muslim telling them, okay, either embrace Islam or embrace, the real teaching of Judaism, or embrace the real teaching of the Nazarite, or embrace the real teaching of the Sabians. That's what he was referencing here. He said, otherwise I'll slay you to the last man. He said, I'm going to grant you a delay until I return from the journey of mine, or this journey of mine. He said, and then the sheikh said to them, the Harnanian, it says, when Al-Mamun returned from his journey, say to him, we are Sabians, Sabi'un, for this is the name of the religion which Allah, may his name be exalted, mentioned in the Quran. Profess this and you shall be saved by this. The date when Al-Mamun returned through the lands was 833 333 AD. So it says the Sabians are mentioned by contemporaries of Muhammad in the terms that Muhammad was a Sabian. Until 832, 833 AD, there's only one Sabian group. It says named with the Sabi'un, referring to those who immerse in water. These Sabians lived in Iraq, Iran area with a monotheistic religion that resembles Judaism, Christianity, and have prophets and religious scriptures. Muhammad wrote of these Sabians to be included in the Quran. See? So, it goes on to it. So this is like, it's right there. But this is my other measure here. And we'll go to our next phase. This is dealing with the prophet Idris and his story. And I'm going to just skip through some of these things here. It says Allah sent 124,000 prophets, out of which one was Hazrat Idris. That's the other name of Enoch. It ain't strange that the Greek so-called Hermes, they call him Trismegistus. Trismegistus, you can see the Idris there. But anyway, it says the son of Yarid ibn Mahalil and Barakina and his mother, he was not only a Nabi, but a Rasul as well. And so, see, this is his name here. You see, his biblical name, Prophet Enoch, said Akhnuk. You can see the Kemetic connotation in the cognate in this particular name, Akhnuk, right? It ain't strange either that, the return to the teachings of monotheism were brought forth by Akhenaten. But anyway, it says it is generally believed that Prophet Idris was the third prophet of Islam after Prophet Adam and Prophet Seth, Seth as they call him, right? It tells you that he was born in 3382 BC, present day Iraq, and died in 2517 BC at the age of 865 years. He was born in the 6th generation of Prophet Adam. And then it goes into all of the history and it mentions him. These are some of the things it says. Remember Ishmael, Idris, and Dul-Kafil. All were from amongst those who observed patience. And it says and mentioned in the book Idris, indeed, he was a man of truth and a prophet. You don't hear too much about Idris, in explaining Enoch, even in the biblical. It just tell you he was taken up, right? But here is what I was saying earlier. It says, when it became too difficult for the followers of Hazrat Idris to live in Iraq due to the sins of the people of Qabil, they decided to migrate to another place. Finally, they migrated to Egypt and reached the Nile River. And after that, Prophet Idris preached to the people of Egypt. So when you hear me say Enoch taught the people of Egypt before Moses ever went there, see, this is unknown. Our people don't know this. Listen to what it say. Now, listen to these characteristics and reflect upon Tehuti. Some of the things you heard about Tehuti. It says Prophet Idris, the architect. Prophet Idris was an architect too, as he designed and constructed several cities for his followers. The state-of-the-art amenities of that time. You see, it is said that during his time, 88 cities were built. Now, this would often say, okay, if Sabi was his seed, then they would inherit that craft from their father. And this is why they were builders of civilizations as well, right? Cushites. You see? So when we look at this, we can see that this is stuff that's out there, and it's deeper history into this. You know, in due time, later on down the line, maybe we'll do a drawing on it. But we just want to show you that this stuff is there. This ain't something we just coming up with out of thin air. You see? But we know also Tahuti was known as an architect as well as a scribe, right? Islam. So let me go back over here. Now that we got that particular drawing covered, let's go back to the document of the papyri of Priestley, because we want to touch on something in this document as well. Wait till we get to it. So I'm showing you now, we already know this is the letter A. We know this is the anaglyph, you know, that's been brought as a one-to-one to correspond with the letter A according to the Egyptology, but we know the hieratic refer. We ain't got to go there. We know this is A here. We know this is the letter Y. This is the actual letter. This is not just a determinative or an indicator. See? So this is AY actually being added to Saba. So this is Saba, right? Saba 8. This is actually instruction. This is the wisdom instruction. That's what this is saying right here. See? So they use this portion as Saba, S-E-B. And this is A, Y, and this is T. See? Sabate. That's what that states. Now notice, let me go here. Then it gives you the sign, which is another determinative for sabate, the whole word. So what that is doing is showing you, when you write it all the way out, this is actually showing you the determinative without, they didn't even put it there in the symbol because they don't have one for it from what I'm seeing here. But this would be the determinative word, symbol that represent the whole of what's being expressed here, because that's how they wrote in Kemet. They wrote the word and indicated what the word was said, or what it was stated. And oftentimes this was done with, you know, these particular drawings, which were trilaterals or bilaterals in most cases, because they express a whole word. So the first word is sabate. And so now we understand that is wisdom instruction, and we begin to move on to the other one. This is NT. See, we see the N here, and connected to it is the T. NT, knit, right? A knit. And then we see here E.A.R.S. E.A.R.S. You know, which see the M and the R, and this is the R, so this would be E.A.R.S. And see, you see the Y would be here. So this, you know, is the expression for this whole indication here as well, E.A.R.S. Most of the time you deal with this is like commanding and, you know, function, so forth and so on. Here's another one that expressed the whole of a word, Nijuet. You see? Nijuet. So we can go into that. It's only a few of them they gave here. I mean, this does run down the whole thing. This is another tie. See how they expressed it here? And we know we can go to the molar tool and the Aku and find all of this right here, right? Every last one of these. See how they have, you know, also touch. And so this would be your T and this would be your J. This is put, pot, right? Here it is. P and then the D or T part itself connected to that. They interchangeable anyway. So this we know is H, one letter. And look, we have Hatepu. See, Hatepu, this is how you put Hatepu here. Now we can see there is no one-to-one comparison between these symbols in a lot of this stuff. So we already know they're reaching. We done stressed that enough. We don't have to stress it anymore. We know what the hieratic is. Now notice they actually saying determinative here. A50, right? Tahotep. Tahotep. Now remember, the Priestly Papyrus is called the Book of Tahotep, the oldest book in the world. Now we know Ta from the Neteru standpoint. Ta from the Neteru was actually a part of the creation, you know, as relation to dealing with the cosmos, bringing creation into existence. We got whole breakdowns on that. Y'all know what I'm referring to. You see, this is Tahatep. This is Ket. Ket. You know that's the letter H. They would call this, you know, some people say placenta. Some people, like me, I would say, well, this represents the circle, you know, lines of divinity within it. That's a whole nother measure, though. So anyway, this is the hieratic. We see the letter R here. Kidder. You know, that's dealing with something about, you know, the body maybe. Okay. So we have Nisut. So we see here, there's no one-to-one comparison. We can see where they're reaching at. And then we also see, and we know Nisut means king, you know, a ruler. But then we have here, you know, the wasp, which I can always identify with that by these little squiggly lines in that shape right there. But that's also what is considered determinative. But this is the transliteration BJ and T, Bajetti, right? You know, I actually was speaking on these few right here before we went into this special drawing too, by the way. That this was a determinative and this was a determinative. So it's actually Nesut Bajetti. Okay, so here is another expression. You know, as we can see, YSS, Y. I want to say that is maybe a K. And then this here may be an A. Akisi. Okay, no, that's actually, yeah, Y. Look, is it in brackets?
Islam, I was about to say
They're
that.
actually not including that right there. You see that? They're not including these. Almost like these are brackets, because I'm looking at these as letters, but they really dealing with the ones I read in the center first. So I did do it correct. So they actually putting it up here as Yesej, Yessi, actually is what it will be, because the J is interchangeable with Y. So that's Y, S, S, and Y. Go ahead, brother Marvin Edwards Bay.
Oh, yes, sir. No, I was just saying, yeah, it did look like those was in brackets.
Yeah, it looked like, don't it? But these actually look like letters, but they didn't mention them for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, because they right there in the document, and we know these to look like alphabets, but I guess I don't know if the Egyptian was using brackets back then. But
Well, actually, parentheses I meant.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they were using brackets in parentheses, but I do see that they have isolated the other words even over here. So okay, I guess we'll go with it until we find out something else, because they may be two other letters here. You see, when you do this here, though, something like this, if these are two letters, what you doing, you changing the word.
Right.
If these are actual letters on it and you don't include them. But see, this is what I'm saying. When we go through these documents, we're going to find stuff like this. You know what I mean? And we know they didn't intend to put them there because of the Unicode that they got here. So yeah, they meant to do it just like that. But all is well. See, we have Ankh here. We already know what the Ankh is. We see it A-N-K and H. Ankh. This is Jet. We already know Jet. We see that the D with the line on it, we know that is mostly expressed as D and J, Jet. So this is protector or protection. They already have everything transliterated. I'm just going down the line, looking at some of these things. Those that are the letters that we often look at. This wouldn't be a letter. This would be an indicator or determinative as well. You know, and this is being expressed look like as nah. And this is ha. We know ha deals with time. When you see them together like that, that's dealing with the time. This is like rinnah. And then it says determinative again here, and then they actually get a whole transliteration. Sabate nut imiyir nejut tejet tahotep kirhim in nesut vejetjet yesi anku jet arneh is what I'm getting out of that, right? And so then they have another one when they go to the next line. So just dealing with this line, we can see, you know, how they incorporated the determinatives or the indicators and so forth and so on at the end of most of the words. So this is a key marker. Once we are able to identify these signs, they will aid and assist us in being able to separate these things as they ought to be, because a lot of this stuff, you know, was brought forth from here, you know, as you can see it, your sabate, you know, your A, C, S, S-E-B, sabate, A, Y, right? That's your T, you know, and so forth and so on. Same thing we just read in the transliteration. And this is that spot that I was pointing out earlier. Remember, I was telling you that these were determinatives, and we see what determinatives they are, you know, but we read from here, and that actually was a part of what was coming out from here. But this bracket, you know, I don't believe them with brackets. I believe these are letters, and somebody made a mistake, and we probably end up finding what it is in due time. But these are the things we have to really be observant of. But I just wanted to show here, you know, in this one expression, there's a whole lot to be going through, but we can go through this on in our assignment that we give out. So I ain't gonna try to go through the whole document one time. But this is a good document with the breakdown already there, just like the Papyri E.A.R.S. And these are actually translations of the same thing here. See, this is somebody else, totally different. And they actually put the same bracket here. They went with the bracket here as well, you know, or the parentheses, so to speak. But it says Sabayet Nut, Emir Nejut, Tejed Tahotep. So, you know, pretty much they going with each other on the way this is expressed. And just like I was saying, remember Sabate wisdom instruction? I mentioned the commander. You know, that's the Emmy. They call him leader of the city, commander. Then we got Tahotep here. And now this is just freestyling. I just being able to see it, right? Under the majesty of a king. I was talking about the Nesut. You know, that's where that come from. Then I was speaking on time, dealing with Heh. May he live forever. That I was able to identify, but that's the way they chose to translate it. You see what I'm saying? Until eternity, because that's exactly what that represents. And if you ever see me break down this is special drawing, in fact, in one of my drawings where I just created the formula expression of the name Allah, I showed this there. You know, in fact, what we'll do is show you what we're talking about briefly. Like I said, we can always go there. Let's see here. All right now, slowpoke computer. Act right. All right, well, we're going to go to this one then. Okay, so we'll go here. Let me close these guys up real quick. Okay, we're going to go to my photos. This is what I'm talking about here. I actually had a drawing on both of these. Remember, I was talking about Duat, you know, in reverence. And that's actually Sabet. You know, same thing. Praise be to Allah. But here is where I was talking about He. See He here? See the symbol of the two H's beside it means to rejoice, right? But also it means the eternity. So that's why I was able to pick it up. It also says the four elemental gods of the company of Ta, Tehuti. But that's a whole nother measure in and of itself. So we just showing you that, the more we become knowledgeable and we do our research, as just like you see me transliterating this stuff off of my head, we could do more if we sat down and really went into it and so forth and so on. But I was really identifying certain portions of what was in that particular text so that our people can see, So, yeah, they didn't even do this whole thing here, but they went through a couple of times. So this is what we will be doing, once we able to do this, we can bring forth our transliterations with this, the Papria Ebers and everything else. But I wanted to use this because they spoke on the, the actual determinatives. They pointed a lot of them out in here. So we're going to get this to our family too, once we get done with the class. But there's something that I want to point out to, because this is the whole translation here of the maximums of Tahotep. This is one version of it. Like I said, we should get the book itself. The language that they use is very similar to the teachings that we demonstrate in our social duties. Minus doubt of contradiction, family. Let me see something here. And I think I just closed that. I closed it by mistake. Let's see. Okay, I got two instructions of Tahotep. Let me see. Yeah, that's the one I closed by mistake a few minutes ago. But listen to the way that it speaks and think about the teaching of our Moorish Holy Quran. This one I actually chose because I got another measure breaking this down. It said, as thou wouldest be wise, provide for thine house, love thy wife, and that is thine arms. Fill her stomach, clothe her back, oil is the remedy of her limbs. Gladden her heart during thy lifetime, for she is an estate profitable to its Lord. Be not harsh, for gentleness mastereth her more than strength. Give to her that for which she sigheth, and that toward which her eye looketh, so shalt thou keep her in thine house. Basically, this is telling you, how the God man should treat the God woman, so to speak. But notice the language being used here is very familiar to, like when you deal with the marriage instructions. Also, I can see our Act 7 here, what the husband is supposed to demonstrate. I can see all of that right there, just in this one particular area. These are the maximums and actual teachings, of our ancestors. This is from the Prissy Papyri. These are actually things to read by. Also, it went on, satisfy thine hired servants out of such things as thou hast. So that means if you hire somebody, then bring blessings to them. Then they won't be disgruntled employees. I guess that's where it's going, right? It said it is the duty of one that has been favored of the God. So in other words, if you have it, your duty is to bless somebody else. It says it is. It says also in Sue, it is hard to satisfy hired servants. It says, for one said he is a lavish person, meaning there are those who will look at you for what you have, and they be all in your pocket, so to speak. You know what I mean? If you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, they're going to look at everything that they consider imperfections about you. Criticize you for having what you have. But it states, one knoweth not that which may come from him. It states, but on the morrow he thinketh. It says, he is a person of exactitude, content therein. That's somebody that's thinking, always on point. And when favors have been shown unto servants, they say, we go. Meaning when you treat the people well, you ain't got to tell them to do what they're going to do what they're supposed to do anyway. So it says, peace dwelleth not in that town wherein dwelleth servants that are wretched. You see? So if you got people that are basically, let's say in a wretched condition or starving, you ain't going to have no peace, especially when you go among. We see this among the rappers. A lot of them like to go into the community amongst our people and stun on our people. You know, I got a $50 million car, $50 million necklace in their house. And then you see people trying to rob them, you know, shoot them down out of jealousy and all that. They're telling you this stuff was going on since the beginning of the time. It's 4,400 years ago this text was written. Our ancestors was talking about this. Look at what it says. It says, repeat not extravagant speech, neither listen thereto, for it is the utterance of a body heated by wrath. Right? What is extravagant speech? You know, extremity. You see, it's one thing to give one knowledge and warn one and so forth and so on, but another demonstration, you know, where you're dealing with just straight hatred, you know, which we don't demonstrate. It says, when such speech is repeated to thee, hearken not thereto, look to the ground, speak not regarding it, that he that is before thee may know wisdom. If thou be commanded to do a theft, bring it to pass that the command be taken of thee. It says, for it is a thing hateful according to law, that which destroyeth the vision is the veil over it. You know, and this looks like it's giving us some grand insight, so to speak. You know, that one just have to be in their right mind. You know, don't let nobody send you out there and make you no send off to steal. You know, but I mean, it goes on and on. You know, if thou wouldest be a wise man, and one sitting in counsel with his overlord, apply thine heart unto perfection. Silence is more profitable unto thee than the abundance of speech. Consider how thou may be opposed by an expert that speaketh in counsel. It is foolish thing to speak on every kind of work, for he that disputeth thy words shall put them unto proof. And I'm going to tell you something about this right here. I heard some people in the conscious community say, and these are the ones that like to come against us and what we present to the masses. They make the statement that a well-organized lie will always be victorious over a disorganized truth. So these are people that basically telling you that they lying, but being that the truth has become so disorganized because of the way that people are acting, that he can stand on that lie firmly and make people believe that they're more than the people that's going to accept the truth. So that's something to think about. Yeah, that's what the ones that like to consider the conscious community pseudo say. A well-organized lie will always be victorious over a disorganized truth. So again, it says, if thou be powerful, make thyself to be honored for knowledge and for gentleness. Speak with authority. That is not as if following injunctions, for he that is humble when highly placed falleth into errors. Exalt not thine heart, that it be not brought low. Be not silent, but beware of interruption and of answering of words with heat. And this I done many times when I be on these platforms talking to these people. You know, it's like, don't be silent, speak the truth, but also beware that everybody ain't gonna accept that truth as the truth. You know, they gonna come in with all types of diversions, straw man arguments, and so forth and so on. So it say, be not silent. So don't be scared to speak the truth. Like some of our people, they want that tinsel coat of reputation and fame. They don't want to speak because they don't want to be attacked in the public. They don't want to be seen as wrong. That means that one is not sure of what they stand on with the prophet. They scared to teach. They scared to go to the people, so they're going to be silent. So it say, be not silent, but be aware of interruption, meaning you're going to have some people that's going to disagree. And answering of words with heat, that means not only are they going to interrupt you, but they're going to answer your words with fire, with passion, and a bunch of hatred and everything else. It say, put it far from thee and control thyself. Don't you get to cussing people out, talking about, I'm going to kill you, go get my gun. And that's what it's telling you. The wrathful heart speaketh fiery words. It darted out at the man of peace that approaches, stopping his path. You hear that? The wrathful heart speaketh fiery words. It darted out at the man of peace that approacheth, stopping his path. Meaning they trying to create an obstruction in the message that you bring. So they understood this back during the time of Kemet, that it was people, while the Pharaoh or whoever it was trying to give some sabate instructions, and you got this fool that want to come up there speaking hatred, spewing everything that ain't the truth. Like you hear some the prophet didn't bring that. And they want to bring contention, and so they divert the whole bill of where you coming from, and now the people don't even remember what you were talking about because they done created this conflict. Look at it. Right there, and it's telling you how to deal with this. You know what I mean? We can go on and on and on. That's why I say I'm gonna order, the book. I had it years ago. But yeah, a lot of this stuff right here is powerful. It says, this is the last one. One that reckoneth accounts all the day passes not a happy moment. One that gladden his heart all the day provided not for his house. It says the bowman hit the mark, right? It says, as nobles favoring one inside his speech. It says, turn thine aim toward exact judgments. You know what? No, it actually, pardon self. The bowman hitteth the mark as the steersman reaches the land by diversity of aim. And he that obeyeth his heart shall command. So I mean, this thing, it just goes on and on and on and on. It just goes on and on, family. Let's get us some right here just for a great draw in here. Let not the prince be hindered when he is occupied, neither oppress the heart of him that is already laden, right? For he shall be hostile toward one that delayeth him, but shall bear his soul unto the one that loveth him. The dispersal of souls is with the God, and that which he loveth in his creation. Set out therefore after a violent quarrel, be at peace with him that is hostile unto thee, his opponent. It is such souls that make love to grow. You know what I mean? Same thing, family. So what I'm going to do, because I also was going to put this one up. I ain't trying to close that. I ain't using it right now. I know it's going to close, but well, it done froze it up. So what I do is come to my panel, because that's what I want to do right now anyway. We'll catch it in a second. But so these are certain things that are in the teaching of Tahotep, family, in the papyri of Prissy. These things have been on the manifest since the time immemorable parts of. So at this time, what I want to do is open up the floor again to the scribes and see what it is that they have to say in reference to what we brought forth just then. Islam. Islam, Brother Bati Bey. What have you to say, Grand Man?
Islam, and they say ain't nothing new underneath the sun, and that people that don't know like Mark Messiah Garvey said, he said, and the people without a knowledge of their past history, culture, and origins is like a tree without roots, a dead tree, or we could say a black tree. And so, if this happened during the time in Egypt, saying where we should look to, because we are now put on the manifest to do the same thing and reconstruct and rebuild. We must look to the past in order to see where we go. Hence the reason why we even got our high names and our Swift Angel numbers. Those will give us kind of like a pathway. It has its own gematria to it, and we go from there. It gave me a lot of insight. And with that, I'll just leave it as a comment piece. Islam.
In Islam, yeah, gratitude for that drawing, brother Bati Bey. Islam. Well, all right. Any amongst our other scribe that would like to give a drawing based on what we showed you in relation to dealing with, the transliteration or what we just brought forth, from the book of Tahotep. Islam. Grand National Secretary of State.
Having already risen to give him praise and honor where due, I just wanted to give honor again, Dr. Shaheed, for bringing these keys and lessons forth. And it just reminded me of just like how coming up in Christianity, when we were looking at the 10 Commandments, etc., not even having a clue as far as the 42 laws of Ma'at, just reminded me how looking at Proverbs in the Passean record, how still you got to go back to Kemet, dealing with our ancestors, and that these teachings were already brought forth. And it also ties into how these teachings were the foundation of other cultures that took it, even when it came down to language, teachings, etc., and made it applicable to their particular culture, history, etc. So again, one truth doesn't contradict another, and it just brings gladness to the heart to hear these holy and divine instructions, because these things you can give to your children, grandchildren, etc. But it's termed as common sense, mother wit, whatever the terminology is, still lessons that each of us need to be able to continue to unfold into the God state. Whereas if you heed this, you don't have to spend another 1,000 some years trying to get the lesson, when the lesson has already been given. And this is why it's so key to be able to go back in mind, and also be able to go back and trace ourselves, so that we would have a grand drawing and also a grand unfoldment to the self. So gratitude more for bringing this forth. And when you were doing, going over the transliteration and things of that nature, it's becoming clearer and clearer, where we're able to see, and it's not totally scrambled eggs or what have you. But this is just a grand class. More just gratitude for the lesson. Peace and love.
And gratitude for the measure, Grand National Secretary of the State, and all your due diligence. And yeah, this is what we definitely are coming forth with, because like I say, these things haven't been codified, so to speak, in the form, of actual text. And this is what we are here to do, so to speak. We're going to put all this stuff in order. Like I said, just pulling everything up, bringing everything together so that our people will be able to use these texts the way that most people have been using the Bible, using the Quran, and our people will truly have a Kemetic framework to work from. Praise be to Allah. Everything is unfolding according to Islam. All right, Islam?
Islam, Dr. Dendra Nia Kurt Bay, and I concur with my Moorish kin. And as you was going over that, Dr. Shaheed, like the goddess was saying, I'm anxious to see, because you're gonna use that Unicode. It didn't come up because it seemed like your computer had froze up. So you're gonna use that same Unicode, and you go to the ancient dictionary. I'm waiting to see what it's gonna say in there. And there again too, like she was saying, I love it when you was going over and showing us the different, how you was breaking each anaglyph down, and showing us how that that's a whole word. It's not just one alphabet and all of that. And then too, when I think about what we're going through, we're actually being raised from the dead. It's like your class said, like in the God man said on the class last night, because we really were dead, especially us here in the West. And when I think about, and I can only speak for myself, when I think about when you was going over all this, and Brother Bart Bay, I believe it was, when he was talking, it just dawned on me, even though if I had a sincere heart, no matter what I wanted to do, but see, I was ingrained, I was trained so deeply to think that I was just an old sinner saved by grace, that I was nothing but filthy rags in the sight of the great God of love, always looking outside of myself. See, I no matter what you would have done, I could have done, I couldn't have raised my thinking no higher than what I was thinking, because see, I was coming from the point of view that I'm just an old sinner, or I'm just filthy rags in the sight of the great God of love. See, I couldn't. You can't go no higher when you coming from that demarcated mindset. But when I come into this government, and my chairman told me, you're a God, and you are a woman now. You got children now, not no kids. You got see all of that. Oh man, it's just and like he say, if you don't know where you come from, it ain't no way you can't figure this thing out until you go back and trace your roots. If you don't got no roots, if you think about it, if you ain't got nothing to trace yourself back to, then they're saying, where you come from? You just jumped out of the sky or something? You got to be able to trace yourself back to something. Islam, God, man, this is just a powerful class as always. I'm just enjoying myself. Islam, gratitude for letting me share. Peace and love.
That's right. Islam and gratitude and peace and love to you as well, Goddess and Queen. We give honors to you for that drawing. Islamism without the schism. All right. Islam, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay. Can you hear me, brother? Can any of my Moorish kin hear me?
Islam loud and clear.
Islam, we hear you loud and clear.
Now, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay must have stepped off then.
Yeah, he might be stepped away from the.
Yeah. But praise be to Allah.
Islam,
you know. Okay, Islam, grand man.
Islam, he says his gratitude for all that has been brought on the manifest, and through what you presented, gives a clear direction, in my opinion, of how to go about, understanding of, our writings and the information that was brought forth within it. I say gratitude for allowing me to speak. Islam and peace.
Islam and peace. Islam and peace for that drawing. Islam, I think somebody else was finna say something. Okay. Well, Islamism, so what we can see so far, and we actually getting ready to go into a closure, so to speak. But I will pull this up too, just for assurance. Okay, so here we go. Here, I went to the top of the same document that I was reading from, and if you look, this is a part of what I was transliterating off my head, and also what they had already transliterated. So we know the Sabate teaching deal with the instruction, and the governor of the city. We already know that's dealing with the particular one who is ruling, as the mayor, so to speak, mayor of the city. Your vizier, Tahotep, we seen that in there, the king is suit, up in Lower Kemet, Isosi, lives forever. We already went through all that. That's basically what was being stated. So this is a transliteration here. However, we would come forth and bring forth our own in due time to bring an even grander aspect, of this special measure. That's the type of work that we would like to do. Like we have this, we also have the papyri, Eber papyri, and it's basically the same way where we can go in here and really vet these particular measures, and then we will break down the transliterations like that. So I just wanted to give our family a peek into it, and we're going to give some grand homework to our family, and Islam. Our family can put their hands on this here and be hands-on, because that's the best way to learn. Experience is the best teacher. So gratitude. And at this time, we'll open up the meeting in the floor for last remarks from our Grand National Secretary of State, the scribes, and we'll close out. Islam. Islam, Grand National Secretary of State.
Having already risen, giving praise and honor we're due, I just want to give much gratitude to all of our Moorish kin on the panel, to our family online, to Act One, also to you, Dr. Shaheed, for a grand class. And it just leaves me even more ready to get out there, and do the research and do the work. Because it's just a grand unfoldment. And we see what the prophet instructs us to do, and we at the ready. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Peace and love.
Islam. Yeah, like we just had up there, you spoke of that instruction. Like we were, from a standpoint of speaking of the Sabate, we definitely would use the term holy instructions, as it relate to us. And so we got a couple of things in Jews that we gonna drop on our people. They gonna hear Moorish America when we get done. Islam. All right, other scribes. This is your time to freestyle and just bless the people with the wisdom you have. Islam.
Islam. And one thing that I would say to the public is that now we are in the prime time to actually build what we want to see. If you looking at the West and how everything is, the dilapidation is crumbling, everything is going awry. Well, why not come in instead of trying to fix what's already, something that you can't, is not going to revive? Why not come into your government and just help, build what you got? And it's one thing that says bring your talents. And most people feel daunting when they got to look into the self, but it's only for a second. When you look into yourself, it's only daunting for a moment. And then when you get to realize that realization of that true inner peace, there is nothing like it, and ain't nobody gonna take it from you. We are naturally a peaceful people. We are naturally, innovators. We are naturally meant to lead, and that's all we have to do here is to stick with what we have our Constitution. That means that's our bottom line, and we know what it's built off of: love, true peace, freedom, and justice. That's what everybody's seeking. That's what everybody wants, but not too many people know how to get to it. So that's where we are here when we educating and getting educated on how to personify those highest principles. And every day you go to a moment where you got to exercise it. But this is a time where you need to really reflect where you want to be, where we want to see, or the future you want to see for your children, if not for you. So with that, I'll just leave it a couple of pieces.
Islam. Peace and love, brother. Gratitude for that grand drawing. I was sitting here looking in the in the comment box. We got our family say, Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the more. Peace to you as well, family. AT Sankofa. And peace to the Maliki Madab. We give honors to you, brother. And he said, long live the Sandra Moore Act. Islam, Moors. Islam, brother. Okay, yeah, we give honors to your brother Bati Bey. And honors to all you do. All right. Brother Marvin Evers Bay and Curtis Bay. And y'all already know we going in the third heaven.
I'm just so grateful for being here. Oh, I figured Dr. Dendra, you can have the last word, and then I guess we can, proceed that way. But yeah, I mean, we have such a great opportunity. You know what I mean? We have a great mission, and we are being shown the way. You know what I mean? And we can be part of that way. You know what I mean? And that's the beautiful thing about it. We can be a part of this divine and national movement, returning what is ours. You know what I mean? We can realize that it is ours, especially when we can exemplify it. You know what I mean? Bring it forth to the manifest. And, I just can't, say how grateful I am for being part of this mission. And gratitude for allowing me to speak. Peace and love.
Islam. Gratitude, brother. Peace and love. Well, all right, Sister Dendra, you can give us your measure and take us in the third heaven.
Islam. Gratitude, God, man. Like everybody say, we give honors to you for all that you do. And what I would like to leave with my Moorish kin who is out there listening, family, it can't get no plainer than what we're giving to you now. And I challenge you to ask yourself, because see, I'm free. I don't have to be, I ain't in no little secret club where I can't tell you what nothing mean or none of that. See, I'm a free woman over here in this Moorish American government. And I would just like to ask you, whatever organization that you are part of, what have they done for you? Have they set you free? Have they not set you free? Have they made you free? What have they done for you? All these years, I know in Christianity, and family time is winding up. All you got to do is look around. With everything that's going on, they still killing you and stuff. I challenge you to get in here, get these teachers, learn who you are, learn who made you. Go to our website, www.moorisamericangovernment.land, and get on these calls. We have calls 7 days a week. Get on these calls because that's what's going to help you to grow. And but have any of those other organizations done anything for you except keep you in bondage? Have any of those prophets like we've referred to the Jesus? He didn't do nothing for me. I thought he did, but he didn't do nothing for me. But when you look at our prophet E.A.R.S Sharif Abdul Ali, our prophet Nobuchu Ali, he brought us everything. They had buried us in that grave for forever and a day. They was counting on we weren't gonna get these truths that's coming through now. But they failed to realize that the great God Allah is in control of this movement and that the great God Allah is still in control. And when he saw fit, he let the truth come out. And the truth is still coming out. The cover is being snatched back. The prophet is revealing everything. There again, I say, I'm free. I ain't got to be scared to say nothing. I ain't got nobody gonna try to do something to me because I'm telling their secrets. So Islam family, we love you. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep your mind open and do the research like we are doing. Islam family, that's my last measure. Islam. So you want me to go ahead and close out now, Dr. Shaheed?
Islamism without the schism.
Islam. Gratitude family. January 15, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by the order of prophet noble Jew Ali. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially adjourned according to Act 2. Go in peace, Moors. Islam, Islam. Great class. Islam, family.
Great class.
Great class.
Islam family.
Most powerful.
Love.
Peace and love.
Love, family.
Peace and love.
Islamism.
Love.
All right, squares, we got it coming. We got it coming.
This is such a joy.
Islam, family.
Praise
Peace
be
and
to Allah.
Oh,
We
I know
finna
what
have
joy
some
is.
transliterating going on here.
Oh boy.
We don't want
Praise
no
God.
y'all stepping over here.
You might be getting a call. You might
Bring it
get a
on.
call.
Islam. We love
Islam.
love my scribe, my Moorish scribes, man. They ain't even playing. You hear me?
That's right.
Islamism.
It's love.
All right.
Peace
Love.
Peace
Peace
and
and
love.
love.
See y'all in Sunday school.
That's right.
Islam.